Hello, everyone, and welcome to Low Ink, February 2026. God, it feels so good to be here. And I am joined today by Nox. Hi, Nox.
Hello. Excited to be here. Always exciting to get into lowing, especially day two. Going to be looking at alpha bracket today, which is always a great time. Teams trying to get their way out of low level forever.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. Nox, I introduced you, but I forgot to introduce myself. How unpolite of me. My name is Dura. Hello, everyone. And I swear to you, I have good manners. I have good manners.
Hmm. Totally. As we all do.
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't? Who doesn't have good manners? Well, I hope that the teams we'll face today have good manners, but they can they can get a little bit, raunchy at times, and this is a stretch. I'm trying to say that I want to see some daring plays and someone pushing up and getting a triple by themselves. That's what I'm trying to say. It didn't go well. I tried, but hey.
And that's all you can do in life. But we're going to be starting off here with Pico de Gallo and Pixel by Pixel. Oh, Pixel per Ink. Sorry, don't know how I did that one. Should be two interesting teams to start off with here today. Going to start off on Splat Zone's Hagglefish. Pretty classic, a staple to say the least.
Yeah, I think actually this was the first ever Splatoon 3 map that I watched in tournaments, or actually any footage of the game. I remember.
Yeah, I remember in one of the first early events Nintendo did, they had, I don't remember, it was Starburst and somebody else on this map, and it was the first time we saw Inkvac really used.
Well, here we go. No Inkvacs at all.
Two undercover Brellas.
Which is a big surprise, isn't it?
Okay.
Okay, well.
Maybe there was a reason why there were two undercover Brellas.
Yeah. Look, if I got into a match and I see two undercover Brellas, I would end the match instantly as well. I'm not going to lie. That is not something you see every day, and I wonder if that was a mistake. I wonder if we'll still see them. Because this was a talking point for us too, Nox, wasn't it? Weapons that we're looking to see, or that we think we'll see today during day two of Low Ink.
Yes. Yeah, it's always interesting, especially this close to a patch coming out, to see what'll come out. I was a little bit surprised to see an S-Blast still sticking around. Definitely a big drop-off in those since the patch. Maybe unjustified, but definitely a big drop-off in them.
Well, but that drop-off does allow for other blasters to enter the stage. I know Custom Blaster has been really popular and quite strong, especially in Splat Zones, because I mean, this knowledge comes to me from Area Cup, from watching Area Cup, but we also know the Heavy is quite strong, and that Dynamo has been really favored, at least in the West, and we were thinking that Dynamo would be a very strong weapon
in this level. Yeah. Definitely not something I'm expecting to see a ton of at all levels of play, but I could see it happening quite a bit here. It's a hard weapon to punish, although we're not seeing it coming out quite yet, and I do love to see that mini Splatling come out. Always a treat, and it does so well, especially on zones like this.
Yeah. Well, starting off this match, I love the mini pick from Pico de Gallo. I think that weapon can be so strong in supporting and in finishing off kills. Meanwhile, Pixel per Ink popping all of their specials and trying to push this zone here, but to no avail, no kills. Actually, that's a trade, and it seems like Pico de Gallo will come out on top from this first interaction.
It does seem that way. Pico de Gallo doing an excellent job here of not overextending, knowing that they have a player down. Toby trying to set up a pitch here coming through that right side, as Ray Ray's doing an excellent job of just keeping this zone painted. Also, something to note on Pixel per Ink, we're seeing a paper Brella coming out, not something we see every day, to the point where I'm actually not sure I fully remember what that kit has.
Well, I'm pretty sure it is Toxic Mist and Splashdown. Oh, here we go. Thank you. Shout out to Josh, being the only player in the world with this weapon. But Josh using that shield to try to stay alive, block those shots, but Toby has something to say about that. With these specials getting traded, it seems like Pixel per Ink is trying to get zone, but Manga is such a great anchor here, just trying to protect the zone, and this is just going to be a wash. Pico de Gallo taking the first game in a knockout.
Taking it very handily, yeah. Making it look pretty easy. Doing a great job of creating cross-firing opportunities with each other to ensure that there is constant pressure on the map. And they also, just want to highlight this again, did a great job of not overextending, which is a very hard skill to learn. It's something I struggle with constantly.
Yeah, I really like the way they pushed, and it's important to understand the difference between pushing the enemy spawn when it's actually the correct play or it actually benefits you, and overextending. As you said, they pulled out, and by doing that, they allowed themselves to actually maintain the zone and fight off the next push. If they stayed in their spawn, in the enemy spawn, they might have been caught off guard or just spammed by specials. But no, that was really well played by Pico de Gallo.
It was really well played. I'm interested in seeing what Pixel per Ink will choose as a counter pick here. I'd like to imagine that we're not just going to go to TC, but we're probably just going to go to TC. And I can hope that we're not just going to TC Inkblot. But when in doubt, it's TC Inkblot.
Wouldn't it be just a classic Splatoon tournament of all time, with the first two maps being Zones Hagglefish into TC Inkblot counterpick?
But we could do something different. I would love to see a Rainmaker come out here, or even a Clamblitz, just because we did see Pico de Gallo do so well at managing in this very set pace of a mode. And if we get into a Rainmaker or a Clamblitz, it's very much so, if Pixel per Ink gets a push, they can make it way more explosive.
I'd also like to see a map where Pixel per Ink doesn't get too shut down by the Snipe Rider, because it seemed like Manga, again, a very key player in defending and maintaining stability, as you mentioned, in a mode like Splat Zones and in a map like Hagglefish Market, where the range is just so useful and the sight lines are really open for the Snipe Rider player.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge point here. And Manga was doing such an excellent job on that Snipe Rider too, of always making sure to be firing where teammates were firing, and keeping paint up while doing it.
You know, today I was playing a little bit of Valorant with friends, and every time I play that game and then I go back to Splatoon, it makes me wonder how different this game would be if there was kind of a smoke screen, or a more obvious smoke screen, because honestly, Booyah Bomb can be a great way to cut off. Oh!
We have that.
You know what, Nox? I'll let you talk for a minute. I'm just going to sit here in silence. I'm going to finish my coffee, because obviously the caffeine hasn't kicked in yet.
I hate to be that person, but they have kind of added that.
They have. But
they did do that. We don't see it very often, for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
But it does exist in the game. It would be interesting to see it in another format, potentially, though. I do agree. And the counter pick has come in. It's going to be Rainmaker Undertow, so I'm happy to see that we're going to be changing up the pace a little bit. An Undertow is a solid Rainmaker map. Sadly, it's still one of the ugliest stages in the game, but it's good at what it does.
Well, what matters, or what counts, is what is on the inside. And hopefully what's on the inside is a win for Pixel per Ink, because if they lose this one, they're going straight down to loser's bracket.
Yes, which you never know. Sometimes wild losers runs happen. It's always an option, but definitely not where you want to be this early on in the day.
Well, I expect, well, let's not say expect. Let's say I hope that Pixel per Ink can really play in an explosive manner, and just kind of outpace Pico de Gallo, because as you mentioned before, the previous game, the pace was completely controlled by Pico de Gallo.
Yes. And we are going to be seeing that 96 Gal Deco coming out again. I don't remember seeing many Krakens come out last game, but it's definitely solid for that. A little surprised to not see the Inkvac variation, the Manila kit, here in Rainmaker, just since we have seen that a lot more on and off lately. But it'll be interesting to see how they hold up. Admittedly, one player going down to pop at the opening is not what you want to see.
Not at all. And Pixel per Ink manages to stabilize it. Oh, never mind. That's
not
the classic Commentator's curse. And Pico de Gallo just making a run for the checkpoint. Pretty sure they will get it. I don't think Joshua can do anything about it. Maybe Ray even takes the pick, but no. But that Brella player is just going to go down. Tropical pushing up. He's alone. But look, still a pick. And with Toby and the Mini coming out, Alvin has to back away. Look. This Booyah might delay the push for a while. It might get a pick, actually, with 2 picks. I think that might be the end of the push. Congratulations, Pixel per Ink.
Yeah, Toby definitely having to back off here, not quite getting out of there fast enough. And the cooler coming out for Pixel per Ink should allow them to start making some moves. The Kraken should be able to displace the pencil here, chasing down the Mini, finding that jump. Solid start, but something got in behind them, the Decavitator. And the Mint Decapitator is exceptionally good at disrupting attempts like that.
Yeah, the Kraken was such a good play for creating space build. I mean, having space created for you doesn't really matter if there's a decap flanking you and picking off your entire team. In this neutral though, Special's getting just thrown out. Nothing really happening. As both teams kind of struggle for control, it does seem like Pico de Gallo will come out on top, and there it is. I expect the Rainmaker to be picked up here and just ran left. And here we go again. This is the second push in 2 minutes.
But there is a Kraken at the ready, so hopefully it doesn't get too far here for Pico de Gallo. Getting shut down quite quickly. Tropical trying to push through again using the brute force that is that Mint Decapitator. And doing an excellent job with it, but not quite enough as Daniel is looking to move forward, put pressure on Mongo, and popping that Kraken to really try and make it so their teammates can at least get the Rainmaker out of the danger zone.
Pixel moving as a unit, although Tropical has something to say about it, misses and gets picked off, and that is a bold play. But look, Pixel does get the checkpoint cleared on this right side. They might get popped. I don't think they can pick it up. Maybe with a pick, maybe with a second, they'll be able to steal this lead, which is not a game-winning lead, but it is something. One more pick. If no one picks it up, it will be reset. But look, it looks like Pico de Gallo here stabilized and will get control of the game once more.
Definitely, and now it is a very even game. Both of those checkpoints being broken. Toby getting found, but not in time to stop the super jump cancel. Able to find two in the process of that. And really great setup there by Pico de Gallo to look at making another push. Although getting the Seth Blast out of this corner might be a bit of a pain.
I love that splashdown super jump play. It feels like you never see that anymore. It manages to give them control of the right side, but with Pico de Gallo, these hammers from Ray, I'll say that they've been influential. But look, Manga just slips through their defenses like they're not even looking, pushes up to 40, which still doesn't necessarily mean a victory. But Pixel finally moving out of spawn, getting some map control. If they pick up this Rainmaker, and if they play this properly, I'm pretty sure they can get a winning push here. Pico de Gallo are really confined to their spawn right now.
They are. A lot of the map is painted that green for Pixel for Ink. Tropical is trying to get a flank off, but not quite able to. We're running across the grates. Not going to be able to fully cross, though. Toby finds the pick, but has to drop in the process, leaving the Rainmaker in quite a vulnerable position. This pop might get them, but no. They get taken out by the Kraken instead, looking to get the pop. And now we're going to see that Brella just trying to clear space for their teammates. That's one of the main goals of the weapon, but they're not going to be able to stop that Rainmaker from scurrying off somewhere. Ah, there we go. Back to mid, and it seems like Tropical's just going to make a run for it.
Yeah, and that is absolutely the correct play. With only roughly 30 seconds left on the clock, it's going to be super hard for Pixel to, and even with an extended lead like that, that's so hard. That was such a misplay that we saw from Pixel getting the Rainmaker on the grates. Not too sure what their idea was. I'm pretty sure if they just went straight, they could have gotten the lead, which is quite unfortunate for that. But look, if they pick it up right now, they still have overtime, and they can make something happen. Yeah, and with that kick onto the decav, Nox, they're in a good position to do so.
They are. That Decapitator does need to go down for them to be able to do much. Seems like they are going to keep trying to push the left side here, which I feel is the right call. It's definitely the safer route. They have a Kraken ready, but just the Rainmaker rushing forward and nothing clearing the path for them. You really need something to move in front of your Rainmaker. It's always hard in the heat of the moment to keep that in mind, though, so can't blame them there at all.
No, not at all. And look, Rainmaker is, as you said, not as stable as Splat Zones, and as a product of that, it can be very stressful. And misplays like the one we saw can become much more apparent and much easier to commit. Although they played pretty well, Pico de Gallo just came out on top, and I liked their play. They seemed very organized. Their comp was really well balanced. Let's add that, and they win 2-0 in kind of an underdog situation. Pixel was seeded 34th, while Pico de Gallo was seeded 59th. That is quite the upset.
It is. It's always something to that. It's not something that surprises me quite as much in this level of tournament. I find that teams at this level can explode in skill so quickly that it makes it really hard to guess where they're going to be. It's definitely one of those skill levels where when Ludi divs come out, they're not so accurate by the end of the Ludi season, generally.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm quite surprised. I'll be honest. I thought Pixel Per Ink had that in the bag at the start, but well, valiant effort for them, and there's an entire losers bracket waiting for them to
And maybe
make
they
their
also
their
needed
hero
their
run.
coffee to kick in. Maybe
Yeah,
they're
maybe they
awake
do.
now.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just takes a little more time than you think for the caffeine.
Yeah, maybe they'll be featured again today. And the only time or the only way to know if that's true or not is to keep watching. So guys, stay on your seats. Don't take your eyes off your screen, and don't click off, because this is gonna be an exciting day. I love Low Ink.
I do too. It's always a great time. It's always one of my favorite events to commentate. It's so back and forth. We see a lot of interesting upsets and a lot of interesting plays. And I'm very excited to see what weapons come out today, because we don't see Decavitator very often these days either. It's not the most common pick. And it was putting in quite a bit of hard work there.
Yeah, I will say one of the best main weapons in this game.
Yeah.
It can be so oppressive, and it can be so hard to kill, especially with the big bubbler. And it was great that that Pico de Gallo capitalized off of their Decavs players' plays and pushes and flanks so well. It seemed like every time they got a pick or two, they moved up, which is so great to see that level of coordinated play.
It is. It's something that's always we've both been around in the scene long enough to remember times where that kind of thing didn't happen as often.
Oh no, not at all. How far we've come, haven't we, Nox?
How far we've come. It's low level used to look very different than it does now, to say it lightly.
Yes, it definitely has. Which is great. The scene is so much bigger now. These players have so many more options when it comes to practice, when it comes to teammates, when it comes to pickups, and
also just
great.
Tournaments to play in. It's always so exciting to just see so many more events than there used to be. It's always great. And it seems like we're going to be taking a short break real quick. We'll be back soon. And make sure you stay tuned in for more of Low Ink Day 2.
And welcome back, everyone, from that very short break. If you missed the start, welcome. Welcome to Low Ink Day 2, February 2026. I'm Dura, and I am joined by Nox.
And always great to be here. Should be interesting seeing how WetUp does against Neowave. Always the interesting names coming out during Low Ink. We'd love to know the origins of WetUp. Feel like it probably just came from some wild conversation in a VC on a hunch.
Look, I honestly have no idea. I just think it's so great that we have Mahi Mahi Resort with a team called WetUp because look, the water goes up, you know.
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense.
It does. Actually, I'll be very disappointed if Neowave comes out on top in this map, because it would be so poetic. It would be so poetic. Although Neowave does have the wave aspect of the name. Sorry, I'm obsessed with puns. I'm obsessed with looking for this kind of joke. I know it's terrible, but bear with me. We're here for another hour and a half.
I will say, WetUp hasn't dropped a single map yet this tournament, and admittedly, Neowave has dropped one whole singular map, so it should be a pretty evenly matched game. Always exciting. Though to be fair, I don't know if you get to make Day 2 of Low Ink anymore unless you go 6-0 Day 1. No, they went 5-0. Okay, never mind.
Oh, I wouldn't
5-1.
Get past that.
The times have changed since we were both players.
Anyways, here we
have
go.
A heavy edit!
There you go. We were talking about heavy earlier, but heavy edits against the Neo leader, especially in a map like Mahi Mahi Resort, is going to be so hard to play. Vamp King here taking such a great position to start. And look, Neowave is just on their back foot instantly. They do have the tactical online, and they have the crab tank as well, but WetUp using their own specials and getting the pick on the edits. I don't think this will be that easy, especially with the map fully unlocking all of its terrain. This Carbon is ready to shark and get that pick before that Reef Slider kicks in. WetUp in a great position right now, Nox.
Definitely, although that Zuka came out, did manage to find a pick. Just the Dreadringer left up on the side of WetUp. Should be able to get cleaned up here, walking into the path of about 4 people, but finds a trade with the other Dreadringer in the process. Paint being laid down by Neowave. Love to see how much they're painting up the map here. And this Dapple getting into such an aggressive position, I love to see it.
Oh, the Dapple absolutely getting countered by that Inkjet. Thought they were going to get that that pick. This Inkjet doing wonders for WetUp as they retake the map, and they retake the map control, the entirety of mid. Neowave again trying to farm their specials. They are waiting on that tactical, which should be coming out now, but with the Dreadringer going out and with the enemy Dreadringer getting a pick along with the Carbon, that is such a great cleanup from WetUp.
It is, and I'd also like to just talk about WetUp's comp for like half a second. It's so aggressively focused. It's almost low paint, but they're holding it together with that Dreadringer pretty much alone, because Batbrella is going to be focused on Inkjets a lot more than paint. The Reef Slider coming out here to try and neutral for Neowave, not quite able to since that patch changed it just a bit. And WetUp making this game cleaned up beautifully.
Yeah, as soon as the enemy team pushes or gets the zone counter down to 30 within not even a minute of the match, you know you're in trouble. You really do. And the fact that WetUp managed to retake the zone and mid so easily and so fluidly, you know, there was really not many hiccups with their play. Neowave is they're in a tough position right now, and honestly, I'm not too sure what they can pick to counteract this kind of play.
I'm not fully sure either. They definitely need to. It's partially probably that they just need to lay down more paint to really prevent that Carbon from being able to do what they want to do, and focus a little bit more on taking out those Inkjets when they happen, because those Inkjets coming out of that Brella were absolutely brutal every time. It made it really hard for Neowave to move when they needed to and do what they needed to do. And then there's also that issue of E-Leader versus Heavy that you were talking about, of Splatlings just don't thrive into that.
Not at all. Not at all. Which is why I really want to see a map, or even a game mode that really turns the game on its foot, or turns the E-Leader, sorry, on its head. And look, tower control is one of the modes that can do that, because with the
E-Leader can still thrive there.
It can, but hear me out. They did, Neowave, I mean, they did have the crab tank in their comp, and I don't believe that the crab tank got set up as well as it wanted to in Mahi Mahi. Because crab tank is a great way to displace an E-Leader and to apply pressure on it, and to allow the rest of your team to kind of focus them down. And look, as long as the E-Leader is not aiming their laser down the map, you can kind of swim or walk anywhere. In tower control, place that crab tank well enough, and the E-Leader is suddenly not a problem, and you can move the objective to the enemy spawn, no problem.
This is true. That is definitely an option. My one hesitate. I'm just a little surprised that they didn't want to go to Clam Blitz about it, but also that's me being a little overly reactive to it, probably. Mm-hmm. Oh, you want to play a charger? We're going to Clam Blitz. Have fun in there. Mm-hmm. Just because they oftentimes struggle more with those more mobile modes.
Yeah,
but
even
an
Rainmaker.
Extreme measure to take.
Even Rainmaker would have been, in my opinion, also a better pick. But I'm just happy that we're not going to watch a Splat Zones game, because that would have been really hard to break through WetUp's defenses.
Yes, it would have. Definitely not the ideal for them. It'll be very interesting to see how this goes. And another tried and true, TC Mako Mart. Nothing shocking to see come out. At least it's not TC Inkblot. I'll take it.
Look,
should be really good for that carbon on WetUp, though. That's a big concern there for me.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, we've talked about the pros of TC, but let's talk about the cons of Mako Mart for this team. The carbon is going to be a problem, and the inkjet, if WetUp chooses to keep the inkjet in their special comp, is going to be really hard, especially if they get to pushing the inkjet on the top right. If you're respawning on your top right, that can be brutal, and that can just lock out the entire right side if you want to push it.
Yeah, it's an interesting stage pick to me. It's one that I'm a little surprised to see. It feels like they might be picking it because they're very comfortable on it, which is a very valid reason to do it. But the problem with your comfortable pick being Mako Mart is the other team is also comfortable there.
I think counter picking is really interesting because it tests a couple strengths or a couple things that a team might need. One of them is adaptation, ability to adapt, and that of course is a consequence of being able to identify the enemy team's weaknesses, and then it's just knowing what you're comfortable with and comfortable on. And maybe, as you said, this is a comfort pick for Neowave.
Yeah, which is interesting to see. We're also seeing an Octobrush come out, not something we see all the time. We are seeing a switch over to Vibrella, which has that Ink Strike comp, and we are also seeing the Crab Dreadringer coming out here, which is from both sides, not something we see very often.
Mm-hmm. I do like the Octobrush pick because this Zipcaster might prove itself to be really useful against the E-Leader, but what's really not useful is going 3 down within 20 seconds of the match, Nox. This is looking very, very dire for Neowave.
It's definitely looking rough, to say it lightly, although getting that Brella taken down as the last one up was very impressive on the part of the heavy edit, very useful there. And an interesting spot to crowd tank from, doesn't seem to have gotten them the most space, but did help them get a couple extra points on the tower. As we are in a 2v2 situation, and they're going to have to try and fish out this carbon. And once again, it just feels like they're going to struggle a bit with that, because they don't have any way of keeping enough paint down to keep the carbon from moving around, or marking the carbon to know where it is.
Incredible use of the triple ink strikes from the Brella on WetUp, allowing their team to keep mid, or at least try to defend it a bit more, but Neowave responds with very, very good special usage. I saw that Zipcaster getting thrown out, and I saw that Crab Tank as well, with this Reef Slider from Wither, trying to take that top right, but doesn't really do much, and now it seems like WetUp, they're saying, hey, it's our turn to pop our specials and to try to retake mid. No picks yet, with the Crab Tank from Neowave getting popped and Wither getting 1, maybe 2, no, just 1. It's very neutral right now, Nox, and either team could come out on top from this exchange.
Yeah, it's very much so one of those neutral situations where we're waiting for a team to find a way to break the ice. This is where having that E-leader can come in especially helpful. If the E-leader hits a really solid shot onto the other team, it can completely open up the map. In a very aggressive position right now, so bunched up, the Zipcaster coming out, might be able to find all three. There we go, Wither moving in excellently, and that's exactly the kind of thing you need there. And they do manage to find the Carbon. The edit's the last one up, but that's okay. They'll be able to get jumps in with this cooler. And now we need to see Neowave spread out quickly, because the big issue there happened because all of WetUp was so incredibly on top of each other.
Such a good position for Neowave there, with their edit player placing the cooler down so they can jump in. And look, they're just wreaking havoc. They even made it to checkpoint 2, and they cleared it. Wither here with their special, trying to get a couple picks. Oh, that is so sad, but it doesn't really matter because they've pushed to 15. That is very, very respectable, and that might win them the game as Leo gets another pick, just dancing around the enemy spawn and acting as a beacon as well. Only the Carbon gets the pick. WetUp.
But Wither cleans that Carbon right up. I really love the amount of stall Neowave is doing right here, really encouraging them to maintain this control. And not giving up more space than they need to, which is fantastic to see.
Another tactical coming out from Neowave. I like that, trying to keep mid, but WetUp is playing so passively right now, and it seems like Neowave doesn't want to challenge that at all. Look, they're in control of the game. They have the lead right now, and a very solid one at that. King getting set up on this left side. This could be quite dangerous, but the specials seem to be in favor of WetUp right now. If they get a pick right now, they could be in for a leading push.
That Reef Slider doing an excellent job, though, of disrupting the tower, allowing Neowave to try and set up a little bit more. Hyperfresh in such an aggressive position, now going to be able to poke at this Brella on the tower as the Dreadringers are duking it out in spawn. The Carbon having to just back off a bit, does get picked off in the process. Leo doing an excellent job still with that Ink Rush, creating disruption, and they keep doing one of the things Neowave is doing an excellent job of this game is creating situations where they're pairing up on singular members of WetUp, creating those 2v1 situations they love that are so great to see.
Yeah, and to that point, and to your earlier point, the aggressive positioning from the edit there allowed for a jump in, and they just crunched the enemy team. There were 2 players on each side of the tower, and only 2 players acting as the rider and someone pushing their spawn. And Neowave, as you said, playing as a team a lot better than WetUp this second game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it feels very different than that first game did, where WetUp just knew exactly what to do on that zone, on that stage. Whereas Neowave seems very comfortable here. Admittedly, the Carbon has had some pretty solid moments on this stage. It is very much so a great stage for Carbon. King finding a great pick there. Are they going to be able to set something up to make this happen, though? There isn't actually a checkpoint difference left, so it is very much a chance that WetUp could do it.
Yeah, but with Wither trying to jump the tower and only a Neeleater there's not much you can do. We're going to game 3, everybody. And Neowave here, I want to say, backing up to what we were discussing when we were looking at the counter pick, I think really this was a comfort pick. Because, like you said, it seemed like they knew exactly what to do, just like WetUp knew in Mahi Mahi.
Definitely, I completely agree there. Admittedly, WetUp lucked into theirs a little bit with how Blowink map list works out of memory. Admittedly, I forget rules the second after I read them, which is why I'm no longer a player, and why I don't TO. But it'll be interesting to see what comes out here. We could definitely see a return to tower control potentially out of WetUp that actually wouldn't shock me. It would shock me to go back to the same stage, though.
Oh yeah, it definitely would. So, my first thought here is, how can I set up one of our key players, which is either the E-leader, because it can just lock out the enemy comp, barring they don't pick the Octobrush, that can just Zipcaster on my backline the entire game, which would suck. Mm-hmm. Or option B, how can I set up my Carbon player to make a play? And maybe
the answer for the Carbon is so much ink on the ground.
Oh yeah, so much ink on the ground. And you said ink, I thought you were going to say Inkbot, and I was going to be radiant because that was my point.
We can't go back to... We can't... It's always Inkblot.
Look, Nox, sometimes...
It can't always be Inkblot.
Sometimes
we need a break from Inkblot. Sometimes maybe Inkblot should get to retire for a month.
Right, but sometimes life calls for you to be in a place where you don't necessarily want to be in. And guess what? Life happens, whether you like it, wherever you are.
This is true. But I will always complain about Inkblot TC and Zones Mako Mart, and this will stay the same until we see a month-long break from them someday.
Well, it seems like I'm opening up year-long scars from Splatoon 2 that I really don't want to touch on.
We've seen the stages equally as much in Splatoon 3. That's why I fuss about them.
All right. Well, I don't know. I just felt a little bit guilty because I did abuse Stingray quite a bit.
Oh no, Stingray's fine actually.
Okay,
you're not ready for my takes.
Thank God, thank God. Well, Nox, let's save our takes for after this set because I'm sure that would entertain a lot of people. From what I can tell, we must have some pretty wild ones. Yes. But right now, Rainmaker Museum d'Alfonsino. What do you think about this map pick from WetUp?
I think it's a solid one. They have an E-liter. It's definitely a great E-liter map. The Rainmaker might be a little more challenging for it, but they'll have a great range advantage. There's lots of ledges for their carbon to play around. Dreadringer can help with those ledges. I still am going to wish that they had something that did a little bit more turfing to go along with that Dreadringer, just because that carbon and E-liter combo does so little to paint for themselves. Mm-hmm. Oh, they could also pull out a Splat Charger here, since Inkvac has been seeing more play in Rainmaker specifically.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to suggest, because while E-liter is great on this map, Rainmaker and E-liter, it's just something that in my head doesn't really make any sense. And look, I used to be a Charger player. It can feel miserable to be the kind of weapon that tries to maintain the stability and to control the pace of the game in a game that just naturally outpaces you.
Yes. Rainmaker is so fast. It can be so aggressive. I know we also love to talk about how Rainmaker devolves into stall a lot of the time, and sure, but you have to do the fast part first.
Yeah, definitely. So let's look at these team comps. We see a heavy edit and Dreadringer and still the Octobrush, and now a Snipe Rider. I love that, as well as the Splatano Wiper. This
adaptation
comp,
from the carbon.
Yeah, this comp seems a lot more mobile from WetUp, which I do love, and I believe them, or I trust them, since this is their map pick.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's well thought through and well prepped. Very cool to see, and it's always exciting to get to see something so back and forth. And it's also just so nice to get to see a Game 3, as we're going to see about the first minute of this, like most Rainmaker games, kind of just be a fight for mid.
Yeah, the classic stalemate, get your specials and see what happens. And what happens is that the Octobrush from the side of Neowave goes down, as well as the Dapple Dualies. Great pick from Sebas, but Neowave manages to pick off the enemy player that picks up the Rainmaker. But look, that doesn't really mean anything, because especially with this triple Link Strikes, they will get this checkpoint, and this could be the start of a very, very dangerous push. Neowave has a couple players coming back from spawn, and WetUp is fully set up to take the enemy plat.
Yeah, we're also seeing a lot of Neowave take very low ground focused positions, which might work out, but it's definitely a little bit risky. But they do manage to take out the Ultra Stamp. They found the Slosher. They're going to be able to let the Rainmaker reset and look at recapping mid right now. Looking at recontrolling, as WetUp is already back, already looking to move forward. And just exciting stuff right here, as WetUp is using that Inkjet beautifully yet again.
Let me just say, Sibral is, to me, the MVP of this set so far with these Inkjets. It seems like every time they pop their special, they get at least one pick, and most of the time a double kill, which is very, very good to see and opens up the game so much for WetUp. Speaking about opening up the game, with this Ultra Stamp and with that pick, even with one going down, they can establish a very, very strong lead here with Catfesh pushing up a little bit more. Look, this is going to be a game-winning lead if Neowave isn't careful, Nox.
It very much could turn into that. I really wish we would see their Splatling setting up in a bit safer of spots. They're having to dance around so much here. They're not really able to establish themselves. And now the Rainmaker's climbing the podium, not quite able to get it. But one, if I've ever seen a game-winning push, it might be at one.
Yeah, great discipline. Oh no, okay, all right. I was about to get a heart attack on behalf of Neowave, because that could have been tragic. Finally, they're stabilizing. All they need is to get mid. They have the Zipcaster ready to displace the enemy charger. As long as Leo doesn't get splattered right now, they need to get this Slosher out of mid. And finally, they're moving up with this Tacticooler a lot safer. Reef Slider and the Zipcaster getting popped. Well, one of them goes down. This is not what you want to see. At least the Crab Tank is there to help stabilize mid. And Vamp King, sorry, still just charking and... Okay, interesting play.
Sneaking right on through. Great way of stalling. In all honesty, like love to see it. I love that grab. Because every time you're pushing that Rainmaker forward, it means that you're at least pushing it forward. Great success in and of itself. Even better, the other team can't push it. It slows them down drastically. And it's really making it so Neowave can't move up and get mid painted, which is just not a situation they want to be in. They need to reclaim mid. And they've yet to ever really have it established for themselves throughout this game.
You know what I'm seeing, Nox? What I'm seeing is a WetUp that is very similar to the one we saw in Mahi Mahi Resort. They're playing extremely well, extremely patient, capitalizing off of Neowave's mistakes and trying to get them to push up. We're seeing a lot of Crab Tanks getting absolutely nullified by a well-placed bomb because it might have been popped in an overextended area. We just saw it right now with these triple ink strikes. And they're controlling the pace of the game so well right now. Look, every time Neowave tries to set up a push or even pick up the Rainmaker, it seems like they get shut off instantly. Vamp King getting that assist there. This is such a good position. I really doubt that Neowave can pull back.
I think it will be a major struggle for them. It'll take Leo probably doing something spectacular with the Zipcaster, now trying to, but gets picked off by the pencil, which is probably exactly who they were aiming to pick off. The Rainmaker in a nightmare of a position for Neowave to try and do anything with. We're seeing the Crab Tank finding a pick. 2 players are down for WetUp. Wither in an excellent spot to be an absolute menace, but their Reef Slider gets shut down. And yeah, you're right. I don't see how this could be done without some major mistakes on the side of WetUp.
No, especially with the Rainmaker in that position. By the way, how did you get up there?
Oh, you can jump and put it there, and it's about the meanest thing you can do.
It is, and that's about the meanest way I've seen a set end, because that's just disrespectful. There's no need to make that kind of statement.
Well, it's a great way of ensuring that you'll win. It's about the safest spot you could put it in. It's kind of like taking it over to left side on Inkblot Rainmaker was an S2, of that's rude. You shouldn't do that, but it is a way to guarantee you'll win once you've got the lead.
Well, I hope that Neowave can recover from that, honestly. No, but
I'm sure they will.
Joking aside, Neowave played extremely well, especially in that second game, but it seemed like WetUp was just in control, at least in the first and third map especially. They were just in control. It seemed like the game, they had written out a script on how the game would go, and everyone was just playing their parts and playing it well.
Absolutely. It was beautifully played, really well done. And I'm interested in seeing what WetUp does throughout the rest of this tournament, because they're playing extremely organized when they're on their game.
Let me just say, from the 2 sets that we've watched so far, there was a clear winner in the first one. Pico de Gallo seemed very organized and like they knew how to play as a team, which was great. But WetUp seemed like the immediate upgrade of that, because the way they played was just absolutely perfect. Their special timings, their patience, the way they baited the enemy team into pushing and using their specials at times where WetUp could punish them for doing so. It's great, and honestly, I know this is only quarterfinals, what we just watched, but I think WetUp has a real chance of winning this tournament today.
Well, and to be fair to Neowave, they just took the first game off of WetUp that's been taken all tournament. WetUp has been playing really well. I'm once again, very intrigued at seeing how they do against Pico de Gallo, although on a hunch, that one we're probably not going to be streaming. So we'll have to just keep an eye on the scores there. And you can always check and see if players are streaming on sendo.inc, because that also is information that gets shared there. I always love bouncing between about 1 million different things when I watch tournaments to get all the perspectives.
Oh, me too. We won't be watching it on stream. We'll be jumping to the other side of the bracket with teams that we haven't seen before. But we'll definitely update you on what happens, because, I mean, it's nice to know what happens with the teams that we just watched. And that, I expect, should be a pretty good match. We are going to be watching, though, appreciating Pick, and then I can't read the rest of the name because it's so long, versus Daybreak.
It's appreciating pickups, apparently.
Oh,
I've just clicked into it.
Thank you very much.
It should be interesting to see. I also find it so wild to click on low ink players' profiles and see 2500 XPJP. It's like, what is this? This is like, I get it. I get that the skill has increased that much since Splatoon 2, but like 2500 used to be a big deal back in the day. It's still a big deal. Don't misinterpret that. It's still a big deal, but it used to be a very different thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, a bit of context for this set. Appreciating Pickups is seeded 22nd, while Daybreak is seeded 4th in this tournament. So obviously there's a clear favorite to win. And also, Daybreak has this player in their roster that caught my eye. I'm not sure if they will be subbing out or if they'll actually be playing, but Grace. So, for those of you that don't know, Grace, co-director of IPL and head to of Swimmer Sync, obviously not involved with Low Ink as much, but all I'm saying is I'm not asking chat to riot or the rest of Low Ink to riot, but if Daybreak does win this set, it does feel staged.
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit staged.
But also, Grace is one of my favorite people in the scene, and getting to see Grace is always so exciting. And I don't know the last time I got to see Grace play the video game, so deeply exciting to me. I remember when me and Grace were both players playing in low-level tournaments against each other on Junior. So, oh, how the times have changed.
And now we might be casting Grace. Well, yeah. Although I highly doubt it. And just to be clear, this is all a joke. This is not staged.
No, not at all. But we do love Grace.
If Daybreak wins, I will be raising some eyebrows.
Their results speak for themselves throughout this tournament. They've won 7 out of 8 sets. They've won 18 out of 24 maps. They've proved their worth so far.
Yeah, definitely. Appreciating Pickups. They're in for a rough match, just based off of the statistics and the seeding. We will be starting out on Splat Zones, Umami Ruins, which, Nox, I hope that satisfies you, because that's
it does. I love dual zone maps.
Staple map. There we go. We've broken the curse of Mako and Hagglefish and...
I know, Hagglefish is also fine. Just Mako and Inkblot. Those are the only two I have things against.
Well, I'm really excited. This is one of my favorite maps, both to play and watch, because as you said, double zones maps are a lot more interesting, because you have, of course, if you control the entire map, you have control of the zone. But when you're retaking, you can either try to approach both zones and kind of divvy up your team and divide and conquer, or you can just, if you're struggling so hard, you can just send all of them to one side, try to overwhelm that side, but you leave yourself open to a potential flank, which can be devastating.
Yes. It's always an exciting one. It's also a really great crab tank map. If these last two teams we just saw were on it, we would have seen ridiculously effective crab tanks, in all honesty, just because it's so strong here, in my opinion. So I hope we see some crab tanks. I expect to see slightly fewer reef sliders here generally, just because it's a little less impactful on those dual zones.
Of course. And you mentioned it before, the reef slider change or nerf in the latest patch has kind of ruined that style of play where you just pop the reef slider to the middle of the zone and instantly flip it or even cap it.
Which was very abundant in Low Ink previously. I'm very glad to see less of it. You saw we didn't see as much of it at high level or top level generally. But it was so effective at this level that it was hard to blame anyone for doing it.
You would see it. Well, I do agree that it is a bit of a crutch play when you're kind of desperate. You don't really know what to do, and or you need to buy some more time, so you just do it and you apply a 50-point penalty to the enemy team. But as you said, it is quite the crutch play, and the fact that this level of play can't do that anymore heavily incentivizes the creation of other plays, or honestly just getting better, which I know is blunt, but that's the best way to win.
It is. I mean, improvement's always the goal at any level of play, is a big key factor there. There is always a way to be better.
Yes, definitely.
I
will
so
say,
cool.
I'm just a little bit biased. Because the one reason why I wouldn't mind that Reef Slider play of, now we can say of the old days, is because my favorite player in this game is this Japanese player that exclusively plays blue dapples, or like the Reef Slider dapples.
Oh, your guy got nerfed.
Yeah, Nispa. And that guy, he won an area cup finally after placing top 3 or 4 or 2 for months. He won it this past month.
Nice.
And yeah, that warmed my heart. And then they nerfed him, and now I'm very angry.
They sensed he was getting too powerful.
Maybe.
That could have been it. It's also, I think, that we were probably, as somebody that generally places badly in X rank, because I'm bad at playing the video game. Pretty good about knowing about it. Bad at playing it. You would see a lot of Reef Slider cheese in lower X rank. A lot of it, and it's best for casual and competitive alike. Probably that it's not what it was.
Well, we're talking about Reef Slider a lot, but now that we've mentioned the patch once again, I want to talk about Dynamo and Heavy.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any of them, and although Heavy can be a little bit harder to place in a comp and to learn an entire different playstyle with a different kind of backliner, although it's not really
it's
a
midline, yeah. Midline anchor is how I usually define it.
I'd even compare it to a Neo Splash. It just paints around. It paints the entire map for you. It does so really well. But
it'll give you 20 wave breakers that you don't care about too much.
Yeah, I mean, at least they're there.
They're there. Imagine if it had a good special, different content, different situation.
Yes. Well, what I was going to accentuate though was the Dynamo. I feel like this map could be really great for Dynamo.
Yeah.
And that it really surprises me that we haven't seen any. But look, we're starting the game. Maybe we'll see one now, Nox.
It would be cool. It's definitely... No, we're going to see a well string, though.
Okay. I'll take it.
And a heavy?
Oh, and a heavy. All right. I'll just eat my words. Nox, you open up this game for me.
Very interesting to see a heavy and a pencil on the same comp. Very intriguing to me. I would actually expect heavy and Dynamo way before that, personally, actually. But should be just an obscene amount of paint coming out of Daybreak, which you love to see for their Carbon player, quite frankly. Appreciating pickups, going to have a lot of really incredible chip damage coming out of the Dreadringer, coming out of the Blaster, coming out of the Wellstring. So if they manage to get those numbers going at the same time, it'll work out exceptionally well for them. But they have to find a way through the oppressive paint that Daybreak is going to be laying down.
Yeah, this Splat really needs to be the one to lay down the paint. And look, these two picks are great, and it's just a great start for appreciating pickups to take this map as they do. And pushing that okay, never mind. Pushing that heavy head on is a fantastic idea, apparently.
Apparently, if your Gilly's on the Carbon, it's great.
Yes. Well, a Gilly here sharking, getting caught out. First ever useful.
Love that point sensor.
A point sensor. But
well,
Daybreak,
it's useful whenever there's a Carbon around.
True. But look, Daybreak, they just have control of the painting aspect of this match, and I don't think that Reef Slider will amount to anything.
Like, 52 Gal paints plenty for itself, so they're really able to just focus on laying down turf for that Carbon to truly just run around and be a nightmare for appreciating pickups.
Yeah, but Daybreak just in their faces, popping all of these specials. They used the Wave Breaker and also the Whale earlier, and with the 52 gal jumping back in, I don't see a way that appreciating pickups can break these defenses unless the splashdown gets a pick and it opens up the game and the heavy disappears. Okay, suddenly
but there's
it's a
still
bit
the
more
Snipe
open.
Rider to fend with, and able to find the pick on Juice. Now gonna have to back off from this blaster, not gonna be able to quite do it in time, but the Carbons jumped in. Terrible news if you're appreciating pickups.
Definitely, this Carbon needs to go down right now. There you go, Juice gets that pick. They need to neutralize him with only one player alive. That is gonna be game, hopefully. Alright, there you go.
Yeah,
it's gonna be game for Daybreak.
It is, and I see why Daybreak's doing so well in this tournament. That's such a unique comp. It's so long-ranged. It has two really good aggressive weapons. It's just going to be a nightmare to push into, because the Carbon's going to be their first line, then you're going to run into a 52 gal, then you're running into a heavy Splatling, and then if that all hasn't managed to take you down, you're in a pencil. Like, it's brutal. It's brutal. They have turf control. That's a solid comp. It's interesting, it's very different, but it's working great.
Look, this heavy and Snipe Rider core is actually what won Area Cup a couple days ago, or a few days ago.
I did not know that.
Well, a couple days ago might have been a week ago. I'm not too sure. Time is difficult.
Time is so difficult.
However, the heavy penning this much is so good, especially if you have a weapon like a 52 gal on your team. I know the team that won Area Cup was running heavy, Snipe Rider, and then a brush and a blaster, if my memory doesn't fail me. And to me, this 52 gal is acting like the blaster in that comp. It's swimming around very freely, and it can pop out and get a kill in what, 10 frames, not even. 52 gal's time to kill is
they upped its velocity
fast.
a couple patches ago in a ridiculous way.
Yeah, and the first two shots are really fast. So the way that Daybreak is setting up their front line is very good and very oppressive. And as we saw, appreciating pickups couldn't really break through that paint because their comp in and of itself can't really paint even in a burst. So moving up into a place in the map where Daybreak has control over is going to be very hard. Mm-hmm. And this is why I really like this pick of Rainmaker, Undertow, Spillway.
Yes.
You gotta paint your path, but you don't have to break through a line in a map to get to the objective.
Absolutely, I completely agree. I love this coming out from them, especially with a Wellstring. This is the place where Wellstring is best by a mile, probably. Mm-hmm. Rainmaker's its state, Rainmaker's its mode. It will have that hammer to help do quick pops. It can do quick pops in and of itself, so that Ultra Stamp can also just be used to clear space. And I love the Toxic Mist coming out here. I think Toxic Mist is so great at helping stall when teammates go down.
For sure.
And I still like that point since they're coming out against the Carbon. I can't lie.
What I don't like is one mist and two sensors in an auto bomb. In Rainmaker, I get that you have the Wellstring, but that is going to be very hard to fight a pop. Oh, and the blaster going down in 10 seconds or 15 is not good. Big Bubbler getting popped by the Zimmy, but they go down as well. It's kind of a stalemate right now as the sloshing machine goes down, and finally Daybreak has entire control of how they want this these next 20 seconds to go, as Max Mix just runs to the pedestal and gets the checkpoint cleared.
Yeah, it's one of those things of like, you always want to make sure that you're kind of having players roll out on all sides on Rainmaker in opening, because you want to make sure that you're going to have everything painted, so they at least have to slow down to paint their feet as they go. Every extra second buys you like an hour in Rainmaker equivalent, I'd say.
Well, let me just say, I might have tunneled a little bit when I was talking about the sub-weapon comp for appreciating pickups, because I'm looking at Daybreak and they have a wall, 2 sprinklers, and the burst bomb, so it's not that much better. Anyways,
no, the sub-weapons are not great from either side.
No,
interesting comps, though. And the big bump, and the splashdown coming out here is pretty well timed, really keeping that Rainmaker from moving forward. And a great pick, another great pick coming out there from Lumi. And this should be an opportunity. Apparently not.
Or was I blind? Okay, no, I was blind. No, they did see it. Okay, never mind. Neon here, trying to run away, and as you said, the blaster, played absolutely a key role in shutting down that push. But now they need to break into mid, and as we've said before, the painting power of Daybreak is so much better and allows for the 52 to just roam around, and even the Carbon to go in, get a pick, jump back. And look, I'm not too sure how appreciating pickups can break this barrier. There's a giant chasm in terms of painting capability between these two teams.
Well, and I think people in Splatoon 3 especially are a little more prone to forgetting how important turf is, at least compared to last game, which can be good. I'm glad that we're seeing more focus on fighting than in Splatoon 2. Low bar to set, but I'll happily set it. But it doesn't make having control less important, and one of the easiest ways to exhibit control in Splatoon is through that paint. I will say, really excellent opportunity here, just the heavy up, and that blaster's in a great spot to try and prevent them from being too annoying. They do clear the checkpoint, the mini's gone down in the process, but that's pretty survivable, especially with this splashdown coming out, finding one, almost a second. And the Wellstreak does get the lead, even if just by technicality.
Yeah, a trade, but the trade doesn't really do much. Well, maybe with Juice providing jumps and getting that pick, this could be a very, very good position for appreciating pickups. They do solidify that lead a little bit more, and that Tactic Cooler is so out of place. That is such a misplay by Daybreak, and appreciating pickups might even KO here. No, but they push to one.
Just about, and there's still a big bubbler.
There's still a big bubbler, and look, that's just okay. Not gonna be game.
We're gonna do this again
right today.
Oh no, this is just Undertow spillway. That's what's happening right now. They did it. They got the push they needed. I'm glad that Juice managed to back off there. That's great to see. And now they just need to make sure that they're not letting Daybreak get away with a lot, which admittedly, the Wellstring should be pretty good at shutting down pushes, especially if they do end up in that elbow choke later on.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, what can they do? And to me, it always goes back to paint. But now I'm on the other side of the coin, where Daybreak just needs to set up their two frontline players so well. Oh, and here we go, Neon and Gillies getting one pick each, although Gillies does go down, but this is a great opportunity if this hammer doesn't get a pick, which it doesn't. Cherry forced to back away, and suddenly Daybreak has full control of the map. Great pick from the Snipe Rider, and with this Killer Whale going off on the left side, Neon can try to fight this blaster. Doesn't really get the pick, but forces them to back away, and suddenly Daybreak has the entirety of this side of the map open with the blaster going down as well. This is a great opportunity, Nox.
It definitely is. The Wellstring and Mini gonna have to do a lot here to keep the Rainmaker from getting too close. The thing is, too close is a knockout, which, as we just saw, pretty hard to do on this map with where the spawn is. So even just keeping it at 15 here, getting this pop is a little bit risky. I get why they did it though, especially since they have the Mini up to help hold the other team back. 2-1. That is a great job there from appreciating pickups of taking advantage of the fact that they had pushed all the way to 1. They didn't need to rush. They played calm enough, and they made it work.
I will say, great usage of the Toxic Mist that you mentioned at the start, and we just saw there are 3 members of Daybreak ready to just burst down the doors, try to get that knockout in the last couple seconds of the game, activate the overtime. But with the barrage of bullets, of course, that's important. They couldn't. But the Toxic Mist, on top of that, they can't really move in. That's just game over. I
think Toxic Mist should be used more often in Rainmaker than it probably is.
For chokes like that, very useful.
On Undertow and Humpback especially, it's just, they're so choke heavy. Toxic Mist does so much heavy lifting that even if you just have 2 players up and one of them has like a splat bomb or a suction bomb or a fizzy bomb to throw along with the mist, you can really kind of stall infinitely if you space correctly. Which, not fun for the other team to play into, not great for the game, but it's very successful if you've gotten a good push.
Well, those were strengths and good plays from the side of appreciating pickups, but I also identified a bit of a misplay from Daybreak. When they pushed up, I'm pretty sure the Carbon pushed up too far in, and then backed out on the opposite side of the map, and they popped the Trizuka there. It would have been a lot better in my eyes to stay with the team and actually play with the Zuka from there, because you're not going to get any off angles from that far away. And I get that idea, but just that added pressure on the side that you're actually trying to push maybe could have helped out. Although, again, appreciating pickups, pushing to 1, that's just a very difficult lead to break.
It is. Pushing to 1 multiple times. You do I'm glad that they did eventually back off and go, okay, we're just not getting the knockout right now. That's fine. Because they did a great job of also keeping daybreaks really slowed down in mid. Also, I feel like this is there's been daybreaks in Low Ink before that have won it out of memory. I think this is like the 2nd or 3rd daybreak team we've seen. Not to get too off topic, but we've seen many a team named Daybreak.
Maybe it's the name. Maybe, I don't know if it's the name or having an IPL staff on your...
No, this is the first one with one of those that I remember. So
right. Well,
it might be the name.
Well, we're going into Clan Blitz Scourge, and you were talking about Clan Blitz earlier. I love Clan Blitz, and this is probably my favorite map for this game mode.
Yeah.
I assume that the comps won't look that much different, and that they don't. Exact same comp coming out from Daybreak. It seems like they're confident, and the same comp from Appreciating Pickups as well, which is great to see. They're sticking to what they like. But this is a very different game mode, and based off what we saw in the previous 2 games, I feel like Daybreak, with their stability and with their ability to kind of control the pace of the game, can probably come out on top. Although Appreciating Pickups, with how explosive they were in the previous game, they could also pull out a big surprise here, but only time will tell, Nox. And right now it's just a skirmish in mid, trying to get specials, trying to get a pick. Ooh, Sniper Rider does go down, so this is a great opportunity for Appreciating Pickups.
Definitely. At a lot of levels of play, we just kind of see the first minute of Clan Blitz is very much so a fight for control of mid. It's very much so the norm, especially because you can't really push before you have the clams anyway. And right now we're seeing that issue coming into play for Appreciating Pickups as 3 members tried to move forward. Just Cyrene left. Does get picked off before they can jump out by Gillies there. Absolutely brutal of the Garden.
Yeah, you were mentioning it's very common for the first minute to be kind of a skirmish. It's also really common for the first push to be kind of a fumble because you don't have clams. You use your specials to solidify your control of mid. So you go in and the enemy team just catches you off guard. You don't really have anything to push with. Unlike this Killer Whale, which seems to be doing wonders for them as they open up the enemy side of the map. Although only Oshama here is controlling this top right, but it seems like Appreciating Pickups is not too interested in defending their side of the map. They're so far back, but it doesn't really matter since Daybreak didn't have too many clams to push with.
Yeah, and Woomy doing a great job there, finding a pick onto the heavy, does get taken down in the process, just the Wellstring left up, so there is a great chance here for Daybreak to really play cleanup, keep control, especially with Gillies being a nightmare in their home, quite frankly. Just making their life much more difficult. Push to 67, not fantastic, not bad. And the heavy and pencil will be able to hold down this mid zone long enough probably for the respawns.
Yeah, a couple more points on that counter. You love to see it. And might I say that while Gillies did get picked off on the enemy side of the map, they pulled so much attention. There were 3 players looking at them, which allowed the rest of Daybreak to push in with the little clams that they had, but still a little bit more on the counter, a little bit more points. And Appreciating Pickups are having a very, very hard time even pushing out of their spawn. Heavy there, trading and Neon getting picked off. Maybe this is their chance as Juice and Woomy just moving to mid, get another pick. As long as Gillies doesn't get the blaster player, this is looking promising for Appreciating Pickups.
It is. They're in a pretty solid position right now. They've got a couple power clams ready, but Gillies made it back in. Terrible news, everybody. Gillies is just going to be able to continue pulling off a lot of stunts like that and really stalling out the game. It's one of the advantages of having such a stable core of that pencil and of that splatling. It really makes it so that Gillies can go and, quite frankly, do whatever they want. Even got the power clam in. Down to 54 now. They're really chipping away at this quite slowly, but it's working pretty well for them.
Yeah, and this push is going to be a lot stronger, although short-lived. not appreciating pickups has a chance, but they need a lot of clams, which, look, they do have right now. If they start this push right now, as Daybreak is still coming from spawn, they do get the pick onto Carbon. And look, this could be very dangerous. Cherry has a lot of clams here. They will take the lead, and if they don't get wiped out and lose control of mid instantly, this could be a game-winning push.
Yeah, that is a great point to highlight there. In Clamblitz, a lot of what we just happened saw because Daybreak went, we want to get all the clams in we can, and they got kind of punished for it. Whereas if they had just maintained control like they had been doing, this situation probably wouldn't have happened.
But let me just say, Gillies, we're talking about this player quite a lot, but with merit, because they have been playing so well with this Carbon, doing what it does best, which is kind of comparable to a fly. When you have a fly in your room and you open up a window, you try to get it out, but it doesn't go out. That's exactly what it does. It's going in and out of the window, so in and out of mid, in and out of your team, and every time it goes in, suddenly one of your teammates explodes, and you don't know why, and you can't find the enemy that actually did that. But now it seems to be Woomy that is taking all the picks as Neon takes the revenge kill, and a second one, trying to open up mid, almost got the pick onto the wellspring, and Gilly's here.
Unfortunate
I don't like that, and suddenly it's looking very losable for Daybreak once again, Nox.
It definitely is. Great job here with the Zuka of trying to find a way to break back in. The cooler coming out will be a little bit of a distraction, I guess, since the Carbon can't even really go that way presently. They find the pick. Gillies finds a couple, but it's not going to be enough. The 52 gal going to try and jump in, I assume, but it's just not going to be able to accomplish it. Really great job there from appreciating pickups of picking up on the one big mistake Daybreak made of getting wiped out.
Yes, definitely. And look, my heart dropped when I saw the machine player from appreciating pickups miss one of the directs onto that player with the power clam. But they got the pick in the end. If they didn't, it would have been tragic because that would have just been game over. But look, this is, I'll say, more of a tied set than I thought it would be. I thought Daybreak, based on the statistics that you mentioned and the seeding that I did, they were just going to wash appreciating pickups. But look, I'm surprised, and I'm happily surprised.
Yes. I always love to see back and forth sets like this. This is definitely one where we could see a Game 5 coming out, which is so exciting. And appreciating pickups actually has the counter pick advantage at this point for Game 5 if we do get there, because they just won on Daybreak's counter pick.
Yes, they're in a great position. If I'm Daybreak right now, I am trying to look for a map, and this is the second time I've said this in 2 sets, but I'm looking for a map to set up my Carbon player, because it seems like the enemy team doesn't really know how to act against it.
And perhaps this time Mako TC can be justified to me.
Yes, it could be.
I can't fault a Carbon team for going there.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking Ink Blot. I'm thinking anywhere with ledges, and I don't know, because as we saw in Splat Zone's Umami, the painting is not an issue. Every single day, Daybreak will have map control whenever they want to, and appreciating pickups can't really do anything to contest that.
Well, however, and also, we can't go back to zones right now.
Yeah,
they're not allowed to pick that.
Exactly. So, I'm thinking TC might just be the closest thing after zones. Because at least there's a set path for the objective. It's not like the other 2 modes where you kind of have to skirmish around.
The free form versus the set modes.
Exactly. And I feel like Daybreak, a team that likes the stability, or at least a comp that likes not getting thrown out of the loop out of nowhere, they would want that kind of game mode. But look, let's eat our words, because we're going back to Clamblitz, and it's Mai.
Okay.
No,
it's Museum.
It's Museum.
Interesting.
But it's still Clamblitz. Look, a lot of ledges.
Makes sense with a pencil also.
Yes, and makes sense with the Carbon. And makes sense
for the heavy.
This honestly, okay, I rated
52 gal also loves it here.
Look, I'll be honest, we were talking about the more set objective maps, or the set objective game modes, sorry. But Daybreak did play pretty well and had their really strong pushes in this last Clamblitz map. So look, maybe
they did push to 15 on Undertow, to be fair. It's just that appreciating pickups and to 1.
Exactly.
They have not been doing bad on these modes. It's just surprising to see them not want to go to a more set game mode with how well they did on zones, quite frankly.
Yeah. And you know, you mentioned appreciating pickups having the counterpick advantage for the last map of the set. They can go to splat zones, which I think would be a really big mistake. They could go back to, or they can go to TC. So I think picking Plan Blitz here is quite good because, I mean, you know that the last game, the game mode will favor you probably.
And we also have been seeing appreciating pickups run really short-range comps. So Museum is a pretty smart pick, in all honesty. It's definitely a very long-range focused map. Mini is about their longest range thing that they've been running. So that should be actually a pretty big setback for them on Museum specifically.
Yeah. Well, let's see how this unfolds. And
I forgot Wellstring existed somehow.
Yeah, Wellstring does have quite a bit of range, but not as much range to contest that Snipe Rider at all. No changes in these comps, which
no, there is a change. Neon's on Frozen Pro.
What? Oh yeah, you're right. Oh wow, I'm blind. Thank you very much, Nox. This is why commentating is a two-man game.
Yes, exactly. Also because we need to breathe sometimes for some reason.
Yeah, well, some people don't. But some people
I do. I'm not K-pop.
We were thinking about the same person, huh? Well, Daybreak opens up the game with a double, and they have a ball already ready to go. And these specials aren't really charged up yet, but they will be soon. And look, they're starting to walk into the enemy plat. This could be great, or it could be their downfall, because this Ultra Stamp here, getting a pick, no, never mind. Sloshing Machine down, Daybreak is ready to go here. Nox, I think this will be a push very soon. Never mind, I don't think so anymore.
But both teams are doing a great job here of really playing their space. Neither team is overextending much. Admittedly, Daybreak opened up way faster, able to get more control more quickly. Part of that's just because they can lay down so much turf so efficiently. Interesting choice there from the Heavy. Don't fully understand it.
Yeah, you call it interesting. I call it a mistake. I don't think that should have happened at all. Look, now appreciating pickups. Never mind, appreciating
Gilly's
pickups.
Got that. Don't worry about it.
If they wanted, but Gilly's doing the hero play once again. This player is proving themselves to be such an asset for Daybreak. It's crazy.
Yeah. One thing I've talked about a little bit with some other players is the fact that when you're the last player up, you become an anchor. Whether you want to be or not, it's that flexible role thing, not to go back to it, but we always end up back there. As Gillies manages to find the pick on the Ultra Stamp, that's absolutely huge. Push to 60, just the mini splatling up, coming out of respawn, and we are chipping away at the points here rapidly. Daybreak saying, no, we're at least going to game 5.
Yeah, no, the push to 36. If Oshama and Max Mix do manage to go back to mid, I know Gillis is hungry for these kills, but yeah, that's what happens. And this is exactly the same mistake that we identified in the previous match, is that Daybreak wanted to keep the push going for so long that they ended up losing out on the fight for mid. And then appreciating pickups kind of controlled the rest of the game, which is kind of what's happening here. Daybreak was in a great position to just back away and keep mid for themselves, but now they see themselves having to not only fight for it, but it seems like retake it from appreciating pickups control.
Yeah, which is interesting, but this time Gillies was still up. It wasn't a full wipe situation, so it was a little less impactful, and this map takes so much longer to move through that it hurt a lot less than on Scorch.
Yeah, definitely.
With these missiles, those missiles.
Yeah, me too. Daybreak trying to move up with the missiles. Rumi here maybe has something to say about it. Nope, never mind. Nothing
Doesn't
to
get
say.
the option.
No option at all as Neon tries to push up with the assistance of the Heavy player. This is the only thing I don't like about the Pro pick. Daybreak's aggressive power and pushing power just became a lot weaker. Yeah. While you're staring down a blaster that's running down your team and getting double after double after double, and only the Carbon is trying to shark on the enemy side. And
now, admittedly, quite good at that so far.
Yeah.
Actually has completely stalled out a push that could have happened there by appreciating pickups while 3 teammates respawn, to give a lot of credit.
Quite good, but Woomy doing a great job in trying to find and trying to just send that blaster shot onto these ledges where Gillies might be, and that's exactly what we saw happen just a couple seconds ago. It seems like both teams are fighting for mid, and I was talking down Daybreak for trying to extend their push until next Tuesday, which I think would have been a mistake. But in reality, Appreciating Pickups can't really move up into mid. They do have 9 clams, which isn't what you want when you're losing.
Not with 30-ish seconds left, in full
yeah,
honesty.
not at all. When you're down 60 points.
Now, to be fair, in Clan Blitz, it's always doable.
Yeah, it is, but they need to start making a play. But
okay, a little less doable.
Gillies makes a play of their own. And look, I'm starting to lose out hope that Appreciating Pickups can pull back with only 15 seconds on the clock. It does seem to me, Nox, that we will be heading into Game 5, which is very exciting.
Especially with no power clamps at the ready. No potential overtime even right now for Appreciating Pickups.
No, it's just game over, and Daybreak played that really, really well. Again, they were patient. They did make that semblance of a mistake that I thought was a mistake, but turns out no consequence at all.
No, it could have... If Gillies hadn't managed to stay up and hadn't found a double, it would have been heavily punished. You're absolutely right. It's just... There was a lot of great awareness there from each time it was just one of them left up, that person became the anchor then.
Yeah.
Which is a thing I don't know that a lot of people talk about or think about, but it's really what the flexible roles thing is about, of you do every job. That's Splatoon.
Yeah. I mean, it's very important that players learn that skill and that teams learn that skill. And we talked about adaptation, the ability to adapt given the enemy team and how they play and what their weapons are. But you also need to adapt to situations, as you're saying, and to what mistakes your team makes. If you notice one of your teammates just made a huge mistake, you can't be thinking, oh my god, we're going to lose this exchange. We're going to lose this fight. You just need to cover for it and find a way and get creative enough to kind of counteract that mistake. And that's exactly what Gillies did in that situation, as you've mentioned, Nox. Now, I want to go back to a previous point. Appreciating Pickups has the so-called counterpick advantage in this last map of the set, but they can't pick Rainmaker and they can't pick Glam Blitz, so they must pick Zones or TC, which we talked about.
Zones would be a choice.
A choice, yeah. I think Daybreak is definitely has the advantage on either one of these two options that Appreciating Pickups can choose.
Well, and kind of on that note, like you were talking about, you saw something very similar to Daybreak's comp and Area Cup, which is an all zones tournament. Mm-hmm. Not as tested in other modes, potentially. No,
maybe TC is going to be terrible for them, and we just don't know. But
I would be a little surprised if it is.
No, I don't think it will be. But if I'm Appreciating Pickups right now, I would be heavily inclined to pick TC.
Yes, I think it'll go better for them than Zones would. Admittedly, once again, not the highest bar to set, but an important bar. Mm-hmm.
Well, what else can they do? Because in the two... Oh, wait, Rainmaker...
Wait, are we allowed
just don't know the rules. We don't know the rules. Someone get us fired.
Somebody get us fired, I guess. I don't... Low-Ink must have changed counterpick rules since I last learned them. That's what I'm going with. They change all the time, and sometimes I forget how to read, potentially.
Well... I feel like
Interesting.
I feel like a fool.
Oh, it's based off of what they won last. I see.
Oh, right.
It's not the old rules. It's new rules, Duro. We're in the past again.
Oh, God. Nox.
We're too old for this.
Get us fired.
Get us in the retirement.
Jesus. Get us in Humpback Pump Track. Public execution. Right in the middle on the Rainmaker shield.
Not to talk about Toxic Mist again, but to talk about Toxic Mist again. This is the Toxic Mist Rainmaker map in my mind. What, you're gonna push through elbow? With what?
Yeah. That choke is... I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about the dimensions of it. and I'm pretty sure that's the
It's
exact
toxic
radius.
mist-sized.
It's the exact radius of the mist. So yeah, I think if appreciating pickups can do what they did in Undertow Spillway and kind of have that Hail Mary push where they just have an insane push to 1 or even knockout, because I would say Humpback Pump Track is a lot more prone to knockouts in Rainmaker than Undertow is.
It can. It's either it's a knockout or they push to 60 and no further.
Exactly. And I don't know, my money right now is on Daybreak. I don't want to curse them or anything, but let's see what happens.
I mean, the Toxic Mist and the Wellstring is actually kind of a nasty combination to have to push through here, as long as appreciating pickups doesn't get picked off, quite frankly.
Interesting choice to keep the Pro over the 52 gal.
Yeah. Especially on this stage.
Yeah, exactly. I think maybe they want to leverage on the missiles to push a lot more than the Killer Whale, as the stage is a lot more round or curvier, I guess, than the maps that we've seen. But I'm not too sure. Let's see how it goes, as appreciating pickups will be the first one to get a push going. Maybe Gillies can punish this push, but no, they broke through the checkpoint quite fast, and that's great to see.
It is, especially because the Wellstring had the common sense to really back off there, which is fantastic. Really going to allow them to set up this choke exactly like we were talking about, with that Toxic Mist, with that point sensor. Not going to let Gillies get away with anything. But their Toxic Mist player has gone down. That should make it so, in theory, Daybreak can move forward. Because the point sensor doesn't actually slow you down. It just annoys your carbon specifically.
Yeah, a bit of a waste when it comes to specials from the side of appreciating pickups there. We did see the Ultra Stamp just getting thrown out before the enemy team even started pushing. And now they might be getting punished for it, because Daybreak with these missiles are going to start getting a push going, and the Zimmy getting just picked off, as well as the Blaster. Neon goes down, so does Oshama. Okay, that's a start, but they did lose lead. It's not that significant. If Gillies manages to get more than one player now, okay, I was going to say I would be very, very angry at Carbon for existing if they manage
yes. I would agree with you there. Wumi doing an excellent job here of poking around, managing to hit that direct, where if they hadn't, that Carbon was coming for them. And doing an excellent job of just kind of slowly creeping in here on this right side. The checkpoint's already cleared, so if they get momentum going, it can be very fast.
Yeah. No real specials online for either team. A lot of trades going out. It's kind of a neutral situation, even if appreciating pickups is trying to get a push going. There's not much happening for either team. Wumi's sharking here. Maybe Neon can get the pick. There it is. And suddenly the map just opened up for Daybreak. Even if Gills is marked right now, they have a lot of room to swim. The Wellstring does go down, as well as Neon. But with Max Mix picking up this Rainmaker, they will try to run it at least away from their own choke point and onto the enemy side. And only Gil is trying to bodyguard. Nox, this is just kind of a stalemate right now.
It is, but also that Rainmaker just got put in a pretty bad position for Daybreak. That can be a very explosive push point. Luckily, their pencil's keeping a close eye on it, but that's a really risky spot to leave the Rainmaker in. It would deeply worry me personally if I was having to play with that.
Well, I wouldn't be worried if my Carbon is just running at the enemy team and getting a double and forcing the sloshing machine to back away. Suddenly Daybreak finding themselves again in a great position to just hold the Rainmaker and try to get a push going from this right side. And it feels like Gillies is always the player to make these openings, because what seems to be a closed door for Daybreak suddenly just gets burst open by this Carbon player single-handedly. And it's great to see that they know when to push in and when to back out, because if they pushed in right there, Oshama definitely would have gotten picked off. And suddenly they're fighting, they're trying to stay alive, and they burned a lot of seconds there, which is very, very important.
Stalling is one of the most important things in Rainmaker. In a lot of ways, and in that case, stalling looks very aggressive, because every moment where you have the Rainmaker is another second the other team can't push, is another second where they're wasting resources trying to get at you, whether the resource be time, or specials, or even just ink. and
Yeah.
Juice is just really trying to help paint and establish mid here to get appreciating pickups another chance at a push.
Yeah, I will say though, it's very, very bold to be stalling with a lead of 45, and that was even bolder. I'm not sure I agree with that. And suddenly appreciating pickups. Ooh,
Neon's making it work though, barely.
Okay. That pick was great, and with Gilly's sharking here, I do trust that Daybreak will hold it out at least until overtime. But this is a lot more dangerous than it should have been.
Yes.
However, Gilly's here in a prime position for a play. Only one, so appreciating pickups can still win. But no, that was kind of an anticlimactic finish. I'll be honest.
Yeah,
but
there were some choices being made, to say it nicely.
Yeah. Daybreak playing to their strengths really well, and I understand that, like we were saying, stalling is very important, and their comp is pretty good to stall with. However, that could have gone horribly.
The heavy didn't need to run at it there.
No,
I would have respected the carbon doing it. I probably would have been
Same.
fine with the pro doing it, but the heavy shouldn't do that.
Same. That
One
could
of
have
your
gone
stabilizing weapons shouldn't do that.
However, the Rainmaker being just in range for the Snipe Rider from that slope area in the map really, really sucks for appreciating pickups. As they lose that game, as I said, in an anticlimactic manner, but that entire game was kind of slow and stally, and it seemed like neither team could really find their footing throughout those 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was interesting to watch. They're definitely very evenly matched teams. It wouldn't surprise me to see appreciating pickups make a pretty good losers run from here, in all honesty. It'll be interesting to see how far Daybreak goes. They definitely have played very well throughout what we've seen. Other than they've played very well except for their moments. They've had some moments.
Well, we will get to see how they fare up next against WetUp, another team that we watched. They won 3-1 against Pico.
Both carbon teams, right?
Exactly, both carbon teams. So this will be either very interesting or very chaotic and uncastable.
It's a 50-50 with carbon.
It's a 50-50.
Volty always makes for an interesting match to commentate.
Yes. Although I do believe that these teams will be on equal pedestals, so that's very exciting. And there's another aspect of having two carbons on the field. It's that counterpicking suddenly becomes a lot more complicated. You can't just pick a map to enable your carbon player, because you'll be enabling the enemy carbon player as well.
That's true. I expect to see Museum come out here, in all honesty, just because it was so comfy on the side of Daybreak there. And also, quick look at Beta Bracket. Some really exciting stuff going on there. Getting into finals there also with Green versus Crushing 20s. Yeah, I guess your 20s can be a little crushing. That's fair.
Look, I'm 23 and I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I turned 28 this summer. Tell me about it.
Well, I hope you're joking. I'm joking. I'm good. We're good. Oh, there's also cranking 28s in quarterfinals of Gamma Bracket. Well.
Getting close to grand finals right now in Gamma, actually.
Yeah, it seems like this bracket moved on quite fast, so a lot of one-sided matches in this bracket today, which is, it's great to see this contrast. So in the lowest bracket, there's still a lot of skill disparity.
Oh yeah.
While in alpha brackets, the games or in the sets seem to have been a lot closer, especially towards this end. There's a lot of 2-1s in quarterfinals, and there's a 3-2 and a 3-1 in semis. It's only in the loser side of the bracket that it seems to be more lopsided.
And there's still
which is
some
great to
2-1s
see.
throughout that.
Yeah, still. So this points to two things in my head. Good seeding, congrats to whoever seeded, and it might have been Sendu Q or Sendu Inc. I don't know.
Look, we love complimenting Sendo Inc.
Yeah,
we love Sendo Inc.
Complimenting Sendu is about the purest thing you can do as a Splatoon player right now. Or not even right now.
At any point in Splatoon's history.
Throughout the past 8 years, complimenting Sendu is just heavily smiled upon.
He watched
Anyways,
some of the first guides I watched that helped me figure out how to aim better, way back when he still made video.
great. Oh, shout out Sendu.
Shout out Sendu.
It's never
Forever
a bad
and
moment to
always.
shout out Sendu. Anyways, it points to good seeding, and it points to a very, very even and interesting environment in low ink. Because there's a lot of teams that could win, it seems.
Well, and it'll also be interesting for any of the teams that are set teams for Ludi, because Ludi divs come out shortly after this today.
Exactly. To me, this points to a great environment for competition within the skill level, which is great, because it means that the same teams, some will hit a plateau, but most of them will probably get better together and get stronger together. And today, Daybreak might get banned from low ink, and next month, WetUp might get banned from low ink, and suddenly they're climbing up the echelons, and they're climbing together, and it becomes this kind of rivalry and this parallelism between these teams, which is great to see. And it's always sad when the latter end of these brackets, in any skill level and in any tournament, become very one-sided.
Yeah,
so
wipes aren't fun.
Yeah. I'm very, very happy to see this, Nox.
Me too, especially because like the closer teams are in skill, the more they'll improve when they play against each other, because it really forces you into those situations where you have to adapt and you have to grow. Because if you're losing too much, you get disheartened. If you're winning by too much, why would you try harder?
Yeah.
But if it's always tight, you're always going to find new things. You're always going to find new creative ways to improve. And that's so cool. Finding ways to improve is always so interesting and exciting.
Yeah. Be it trying a different strategy, a different comp, or even just training or practicing this skill of adaptation. And oh, we talk too much. We're already in a game. I didn't even notice. We are so in the zone, Nox. But we're going into Barnacle. Splat zones. I wanted to talk about these team comps, but I guess we'll do so during the game.
Yeah, well, and we're still seeing that really heavy paint coming out of Daybreak, which, while both teams have carbons, I'd say that favors Daybreak pretty heavily, especially with the missiles being able to help point out the other carbon. Yeah. Just in terms of paint, Daybreak's looking comfy here.
Yeah, I like that a lot. Although, on the side of WetUp, we have the triple ink stripes that can act as kind of a smoke screen for the carbon player to push up, as well as this reef slider that can really displace enemies and disrupt their positioning, which would aid the carbon as well. WetUp here, getting super early control, and for as early as that was, getting the lead down to 50 is very, very impressive.
It is. We do see one of their players finally going down. 2 down now. Now going to be the carbon using this Zuka to try and get that pencil out of the zone. Going to be able to, but the trip strikes are going to stall it out just a little bit longer, and every extra point on the board goes a mile here. As we're seeing Daybreak finally capping the zone, but a push to 29 in the first minute from WetUp is absolutely wild.
Yeah, what a great first hold. And they are looking to play oppressive in response. So Shama here trying to rain down these shots on the enemy team, and the carbon just getting a pick, pulling out, and then going back in. I don't think, oh, never mind. I was going to say this reef slider won't do much, but it does end up getting a pick. But it doesn't really matter, since WetUp can't really get in. This Trizuka not doing much, choosing to jump back, but with the slosher going down, Daybreak in a very, very good position to take the lead or even KO Nox.
Yeah, well, and this is what we were talking about earlier, and right at the start of this too. This is where that paint comes in so handy, because WetUp can't really move in. They don't have a way in other than hoping that that reef slider can break in, hoping that the carbon finds a flank angle. And this is just not one of those maps where the flanks are hard to watch, especially with a pencil and a heavy, keeping a close eye on everything, and a pro with that intense mid-range. Daybreak's just gonna shine on zones, kind of no matter what they do.
Yeah, that was what seemed to be a game where WetUp was completely reigning and in control. Suddenly, with the flip and with what you mentioned with the painting ability that Daybreak has, they just completely locked the other team out, which just plays to the strength of this comp. And I was thinking, and this is what I wanted to talk about before I realized that the game started, but WetUp does have a trick up their sleeve. Their player, I forget the exact in-game name because on Sendu it's a different one, but their bucket player, the slosher player, King Vamp, there it is, was playing a lot of E-Leader in the previous set that we watched them play in. So I'm thinking, is E-Leader too hard to play into that other comp? Is it going to be too slow? Does it not have a special that helps break through Daybreak's defenses? Or does it have that extra range that WetUp needs to break through or to displace the Heavy and the Snipe Rider?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely would be a great thing to pick into a Heavy. Heavy has very few answers to E-Leader. The problem there is that you're going to have the Zuka that can come at you, and the Carbon that'll be under ledges just trying to get your feet constantly.
Mm-hmm. Well,
also,
we're
tower
going to TC. Yeah, ship shape, tower control. Very interesting.
Very steamroll heavy.
Exactly, and for that reason exactly, I'm thinking that the E-Leader will stay in the pocket and the Slosher will be the go-to, especially with the triple link strikes to help clear any checkpoints or to help defend the tower as well, or stop an enemy push. I think they really don't want to give up this the tacticaler from the Snipe Rider. Definitely a bad idea in my eyes. And I'm not too sure about this map. Maybe we'll see a different the other variant of the Dreadringer with the crab tank, which could also help fight the range battle that is currently getting fought.
I would more expect to see that. I would hope to see that over the Reef Slider one, especially for TC's ship shape, personally. There's lots of good crab spots on this map. It can really help put out a lot of pressure. Like you were saying with the range battle, it doesn't really help lay down paint, admittedly. But that just kind of is the situation they're in. It's the situation that everyone playing against Daybreak is going to be in. It's just hard to fight that amount of paint, especially now that they've put the Frozen Pro in there.
Oh no, Splatana Wiper and the E-Leader coming out, as well as the Slosher, still from
Splatana and Carbon is interesting.
Yeah, and with little to no paint to speak for it as well, especially versus a team like Daybreak, which I'm sure the viewers of this tournament are getting sick of us commending their ability to paint, but it's such an impressive strength of this team comp.
It makes such a difference. But like we were saying, E-Leader versus Heavy, that's E-Leader's fight to win. Yeah,
definitely. I also, before we move on, I do want to say I think I called out the wrong player. I don't think it was Vamp King on the E-Leader, as we can see. But that doesn't really matter now. What matters now is that there's an Ultra Stamp getting a double kill with that throw. What a great play from that Splatana Wiper. That is great to see as Gil is forced to back away. And this tower is moving into the first checkpoint. Hopefully they can clear it. And this Splatana player is just doing so much, opening up the game, especially with this Trizuka getting... actually, no, that Trizuka was not too influential, especially with Gillis on that flank. I feel like I'm saying this name a lot as well, Nox.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this comp is that it sets up their Carbon so much that it results in a situation of, yeah, of course you are. With Carbons and E-Leaders, they're weapons that I feel like if they're not the main name you're saying from the team, they're not playing their weapon right. In full honesty, they're weapons that should be not carries, but they should be so set up that they're always getting the attention.
Yeah, and it's interesting because they're both flashy weapons, but flashy in extremely distinct ways. Catfish here, trying to fight, but in range of that Snipe Rider. Not a good place to charge up those shots. Maxim Max Mix really
heavy love Graves.
Yeah, just holding this left side of the map. look, this is exactly what we were talking about. WetUp seems to not be able to break through the enemy's defenses. Not even those triple link strikes or this Ultra Stamp can really force a couple of picks. It can force, oh, never mind, it can force one pick, a very important one at that.
Yes.
And it can force the enemy team to back away, and now suddenly Sebas wants to be very aggressive, especially with this heavy also going down. WetUp in a very, very good position. They need someone on tower, they need some paint on the map, and they need these frontliners to move up.
Missiles came out, helped call out their players.
Oh.
Just the E-leader left off because of it. We don't talk about missiles much these days, and I hope it stays that way, to be quite frank. I don't need to go back there mentally. But missiles are really good in this kind of comp, especially when there's so little paint for WetUp. So you can see exactly where everybody is. You can see exactly where they're going to move because there's not much of their turf on the ground. And now this heavy is set up in a ridiculous position, quite frankly, and going to be able to do quite a bit, especially if they get somebody set up on that right side. Which, not quite, but a good attempt.
Yeah. Not clearing the checkpoint there is not tragic. Obviously, it would be a lot of added pressure. But a push to 20, in contrast to this push of 72, which, I'll be honest, was the fruit of hardships. And what I'm trying to say with this is it was not easy for WetUp to push up to 72, which is not a good push whatsoever at all. But
they're looking
maybe
good right now, though.
Yeah, with this aggression, this is exactly what WetUp needed. And Sizz moving up as well, trying to assist these splats and Gillis going down. This suddenly is looking like a very good shot for WetUp to take the lead.
It definitely is. The missiles are coming down, allowing them to push people away from the tower, keeping them from reaching that checkpoint. Admittedly, while Daybreak didn't break it, they did make it most of the way through, so it is still a bit intimidating for WetUp. They have to be able to sit there for a bit of time. There's only a minute left, but they're holding this momentum really well. The Wavebreaker coming out, so the Carbon will have a bit of a harder time for a second here. But Catfish forced to back off, as we're seeing Daybreak finally getting more of that paint down, really going to inhibit WetUp here for a minute.
But even though they didn't quite get to the lead, they kept map control, and you were saying they forced Catfish to back off. I'd rather have a Neo Leader in mid than a Neo Leader in spawn. And especially with the Carbon going down, oh, never mind, those missiles were...
They were really good missiles.
Really good, especially assisting Gillis's position, and that pick on the Slosher just tells me that Daybreak will be 2-0, up 2-0 in this set. Because WetUp found themselves struggling the entire map. They couldn't really find their footing, and they definitely there's just so much oppression, and again with the painting.
But also from the range. There's one short range thing on Daybreak. Yeah. It's the Carbon. Everything else is at least mid-range, which does a lot. Like, how is a Carbon going to approach? How is a Wiper going to approach? They have to be really creative and really sneaky, and if your team doesn't have the turf to support that, especially playing into a team with so much turf, it's going to result in a situation where you can't find easy ways to approach, especially on a linear map like Shipshape. There's not really flanks there. Yeah,
absolutely. You're absolutely right. And this, the Pro is such a good pick here. I know I was questioning it even before the set, where we saw the 52 before this Pro got picked up, and I thought the 52 was just a better fit. But suddenly these missiles are opening up the game a lot for the Carbon and just applying a lot of pressure for the E-Leader player, because the E-Leader, let me just say,
there's a reason we didn't see E-Leader in Splatoon 2 at the end.
Exactly, but WetUp, I think E-Leader might be WetUp's best, or one of the best resources to try to fight this major weakness, or this major advantage that Daybreak is showing over them. And those missiles are certainly not helping at all. Hopefully in Splat Zone's Robo Ramen they can find a different outcome, but honestly I don't see it.
There's more flanks, at least if they do stick with that Wiper Carbon combo. E-Leader has great sight lines. Slosher is good everywhere because it's Slosher, quite frankly. Not that we've been talking about the Slosher a lot, but I will never be upset to see a Slosher in a comp. It fits everywhere. It fits anywhere. It's Slosher.
Right. I will say though, you mentioned the flanks, which could be good for the Carbon Viper combo. However,
Daybreak also has Carbon.
that's true. That's point number one. And point number two, if WetUp does end up getting control of the zone, they need to push up. And it just doesn't seem like Carbon and Splatana will be able to hold that top or that choke. The only real place where you got to push to retake in this map. It seems to me that it'll be very hard for them to fight the pro that is coming from spawn unless they push up to the spawn ledge. Then it might be a different story. But if they don't manage to do that immediately, it's going to be very, very hard knocks.
Yeah, their comp just is going to struggle into a lot of things. I actually thought this when we first saw them playing with an E-Leader and a Carbon. They're not weapons we usually see together for a lot of reasons. And it's because they both require setup from their teammates. Neither of them are weapons that are self-sufficient. They're very good at what they do, but they are not self-sufficient weapons.
Definitely agree. Well, this is WetUp's last chance.
We're seeing the Umbrella come back.
I like that. I like that a lot. I'll be honest.
I like the mini switch in here for from the heavy too.
Well, let's see how they fare. Sibral here on the Brella. I would have loved to see how the Sorella Brella would have done because their inkjet was so good. But it seems like the E-Leader has gotten a pick immediately, and that's a second pick. Not too sure from which player. And Gillis gets found by the enemy Splatana. Okay, great start for WetUp. Very, very strong. And now they need to set themselves up and set up that sprinkler. Never forget that, Nox.
Never forget the sprinkler on the ramen bowl. You can't forget that. The missiles coming out do help Daybreak to try and break back in, but Vamp King's hitting their shots right now. And this is one of those things, like I was saying last game. If the E-Leader isn't one of your most talked about things on your team, there's a problem. If your E-Leader isn't hitting almost every shot, why do you have your E-Leader? And Vamp King's kind of proven that point right now.
Yeah, I just want to say, Vamp King on this E-Leader. Turns out we were correct earlier. I thought I was wrong on who played.
I think they just have multiple E-Leader players.
They do, and Vamp King, not to diminish the other E-Leader player on this team and their performance, Vamp King just absolutely washed the floor with Daybreak.
They did.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to say it, Vamp King was undisputed MVP for that match. They got an instant pick at the start onto an enemy on kind of their plat hangar area. And then they just kept the picks going.
Tara, as a former Charger player, how would you describe E-Leader's job in a comp? Because you might be able to say it better than me.
Look, with any Charger, and of course, when I used to play, it was a different game. Quite literally, it was Splatoon 2, where Ink Armor was really present. And I would, I guess, in this game, I would maybe compare Ink Armor to Tacticooler, although it's not at all one-to-one. But in the sense that it's the special that gives the rest of the team the ability to push, and that signals we're going in now. Mm-hmm. So as a Charger back in the day, I think the best thing you could have done is rush to mid, obviously in a safe position, and try to get a pick before the Ink Armor is online. Because obviously that signifies a pick, and that makes it a 4v3 for your team, which just makes it your chances of winning the first exchange and getting first control to be much higher. In this game, I see it as, look at the specials. Can you pick off the Tacticooler player? If so, go for that. Can you pick off any other player that is giving you trouble? In that case, it was the pro with the missiles, and I think Vamp King did exactly what they needed. They got into mid to a place where they know I can abuse my range from here, and let's charge up a shot and try to get a pick before any fighting or even painting of mid starts to be done. And right after that, the rest of their team just collapsed onto the enemy side of the map, and they began that 100-0.
Exactly. So, getting those opening picks is one of the most important things Chargers do. Getting the picks that break open games, whether it be at the start or in the middle or at the end, that's what they're best at. And if you don't hit those shots, it's really bad for your team.
Oh yeah, definitely. definitely. Well, in Rainmaker Humpback Pump Track, I don't think we'll see many E-liters on the
Hopefully
field,
not.
I'll say. So I do wonder if we're going back to the double slosher. That would be Dreadringer and Slosher, and then the Carbon and the Sniper Rider, or if we're gonna see the Wiper once again. I feel like definitely you want to be mobile, and you got to find ways to just brute force your way into Daybreak's space. But look,
Roller is an interesting way of going. Sorry,
Dynamo and E-liter.
and
Dynamo
roller.
and E-liter. That is not what I expected. It's quite slow for Rainmaker, but let's be honest. It's not like Daybreak's comp is that fast either.
No.
And at least it kind of matches the speed at which Daybreak wants to play, and it gives them a lot more paint, maybe? I'm not too sure, because this Dynamo doesn't really paint that much. It doesn't provide much support with the Killer Whale. And
it doesn't
suddenly...
do good shots. It doesn't do ink. It doesn't do Tacticooler. I was about to say Ink Armor. It hasn't done that in a long time.
No, but look, now Nox, the Daybreak is just pushing seemingly for free. The entirety of WetUp is confined to their spawn. They really have no specials to their name. They have no paint whatsoever. Maybe with this pop they can try to do something, and with the Carbon player from Daybreak going down, they can actually paint, go to mid, and try to fight this, but they're in no position to start a push whatsoever.
No. And we are seeing the Mini taking quite an aggressive position here. Does get forced out of it by the Killer Whale, which is really good for WetUp. But the Mini is still going to be able to... No, never mind. I spoke too soon. The Dreadringer comes out with that Reef Slider. This should be the checkpoint cleared. The Pro is coming in from Respawn. WetUp's looking pretty good here, especially if this Zuka finds anything. It doesn't quite... 38's not a bad push. It's not a great push on this map either.
It's really respectable, and what I also respect is Sibral's performance on this Dynamo roller. We were saying maybe it's a bit slow, but you can definitely feel that buff, this latest buff from the patch, because every time I look at this player and there's at least one Daybreak member in front of them, they just get picked off instantly, and Sibral has been opening up the right side of the map so much, and it seems like Daybreak cannot get their team together. They're always staggered. Maybe these missiles can delay the push and help Daybreak reunite their forces, but it looks like WetUp controls the entirety of the map and definitely the pace of the game.
Yeah, I also want to point out how well these Reef Sliders have been being used to shut down the couple bubbles that there have been. And now the Dreadringer just doing an excellent job helping keep the pace up. It should be a KO. We'll see. There's always a chance. There we go. You know, I'm just always ready for the Undertow moments of we're just trying to get up the checkpoint still.
Look.
Great job, WetUp. Great turnaround.
I don't think, Nox, we did a good job as casters at signaling how impressive that was, because we were talking about the state of the game, right? But what actually happened?
We were also a little stun-locked by the weapons.
No, right, but what happened in the last 20 seconds of that game was impressive. Save Us just completely wiped out the enemy team. I think they got a triple, and the chip damage that came from WetUp, from even the Rainmaker shots, just allowed them to pick off each of the members of Daybreak one by one, and they just ran it in. It was so free for them. It seemed like the entirety of the map and the enemy side of the map, which is the most impressive part, was completely unlocked for WetUp to just move up. They could even sit with the Rainmaker for a couple seconds. I don't think it would have mattered.
No, it probably would have been fine. They were very dominant. They've been very dominant in these last two games. And I'm not sure what Daybreak wants to do about that. Because they lost on the mode that their comp is really strong on zones. I wouldn't be shocked to see... Well, they can't go to tower control. They can go to zones. They can go to Rainmaker. They can go to Clam Blitz.
I'll be honest. I would pick a zones map, and I would make sure that it's not too close quarters as to it would screw over the heavy and the sniper rider. But I would definitely look for a map where the range difference between those two weapons and the E-liter isn't significant enough as to you can't touch the E-liter. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking something like Inkblot, maybe even Mako Mart, even though E-liter can be quite oppressive in that map, surprisingly. But yeah, I definitely agree with you. Splat zones would be my go-to right now. And look, this is game 5. This is
It
game
is.
5
It's
of winners finals. This is quite the important game, Nox.
it's a game you really don't want to lose. It's nice to go into grand finals with that winner's advantage, for so many reasons. In part because you also can go grab a snack. The losers team doesn't get to do that, and that's
not at all.
That's not fun.
No snack, no fun.
Exactly.
Well, let me just say, Nox, this based off of the first game. When I watched the first game, I was like, okay, well, Daybreak might win this.
Same with the second game.
Yeah, not without their hiccups, but they can probably win this. Second game, I was like, all right, it's over. WetUp, pack it up. But I got so surprised during that Splat Zones game.
Yeah.
And this Rainmaker game just absolutely baffled me. What WetUp has done here is absolutely incredible. They didn't crumble under the pressure of being down 2-0 in best of 5. And they managed to pull through in maps that weren't too obvious, at least for us two.
Mm-hmm. And with really interesting comps.
Yeah, no, and it seems like the entire dynamics between these two teams during the matches has completely changed. It just flipped. In Splat Zones Umami, Daybreak just could do whatever and control the entire pace.
And same with Rainmaker Humpback Pump Track. That was their game.
Flipped. Yeah. I'm just really impressed, and I think Daybreak right now is losing the mental game. We're waiting for this counter pick. We have been waiting for quite a bit of time, and I think that's in part due to Daybreak being kind of nervous. Like, it's very difficult to understand. Oh, what happened? We were up 2-0. Suddenly we're one game from being knocked to losers. What can we do? And it does seem like we're going into Clan Blitz Umami. So maybe this team does like Umami quite a bit. Clan Blitz kind of confuses me, but I'm into it. I'm down for it because E-liter and Clan Blitz don't really mesh well together. And the fact that you might not be expecting the E-liter anymore can let your shooter player go from the pro back to the 52 gal, which can help the carbon roller a lot more in pushing and just doing off angles together. So yeah, I rate this pick quite a bit, Nox.
Yeah, I think it's a very solid choice for them. I think it fits what their comp does really well. It doesn't... part of this problem is that these two teams play similar comps pretty often. And so when it enables their comp pretty well, it also enables WetUp's comp pretty well.
Exactly.
So if they're very confident on Umami, if it's a very comfortable map for them, that's fantastic. And so far, that's what we've seen from them. Every time we've seen them here, they've done fantastically. So I'm very excited to see how this goes, and we're sticking with the Dynamo. Not too shocking, I guess.
Not at all. I like it a lot. The E-liter is a surprise for me, but apparently not for Daybreak because Neon is sticking to these 10 missiles, which honestly, great call from them. Look, this is game 5. It's winners finals. Whoever wins this goes up to grands and doesn't have to go through the grueling experience that is losers. This could be anyone's game, Nox. Sabus already has a power clam, passes it up to Sibral, and with this killer whale, it seems like WetUp was a contender to hold mid, but no, Daybreak, especially with Gillis getting this pick. No,
not quite.
What a whiff. Sabus with the incredible play with the Ultra Stamp and getting that pick with the throw. This is a great opportunity for WetUp to start their first push.
It is, and Neon's in a rough position here. Going to be able to help stay in it, though, because of that Snipe Raider, because of that heavy, being able to keep pressuring from such long ranges, keeping such consistent angles. And this is being said with kindness. what a nothing of a first minute, because both of these teams are being so evenly matched.
Yes, you can definitely tell, not the fear, but the respect that each team has for the other one, because they're very cautious to push, which to me signals disrespect. They're cautious to push. They know that if they make a mistake, they will get picked off, just like this Platana Wyvern just did right now. But the Heavy does go down, Neon goes down, Sizz gets the Pixabrow as well, but no E-Leader on the field means that daybreak can push up. Will they do it? No. The Carbon Roller and the Heavy are staying back, but the Carbon trying to push up right now. Sabrel might have something to say about it. No, whiffs the couple shots. And look, Nox, like you said, the second minute, much like the first one, was bound to be a bunch of nothing, but no, with all those picks, daybreak finally can start their push. They don't have clams, but they do have map control, and they're moving up, even though this Carbon is getting a pick. Nox, okay, you might have been.
That's some
I don't
points.
think this will amount to nothing.
No, we've got some points. 68 at this point, when 2 minutes pass without scoring, we take 68. Generally, I prefer to see bigger first pushes, but when the first push takes that long, it's hard to argue with. Also, Vamp King is absolutely wild on this E-Leader still. Completely ridiculous.
Yeah, I was talking about the respect that these players have, but Vamp King seems to have a lot of confidence. They were marked with the power climb even, and they went up to take the most aggressive angle I've seen. Another pick, and only Gillis below the basket here. They identified him with the torpedo, and that is a very, very worthwhile trade for WetUp. A couple clams in, no lead yet, but that will soon change. There it is, and I hope that they have the discipline to move out. Oh, never mind. Okay, another 20.
If you get another power climb, you can do that. Actually, that one's worth it.
And now, to what I was going to say, I hope WetUp has the discipline to move back into mid and try to hold it and not be overzealous, because daybreak could come in any second now. They're charging up their specials. They almost have that tactical, and they are ready to go now. This is quite dangerous. It can be anyone's game still.
It is, and Vamp King just keeps shutting down their heavy splatling, which, once again, not a surprise, but still brutal for daybreak to have to deal with. There's an Ultra Stamp at the ready. The Pro went down, so they don't have a way of forcing the E-Leader out of position right now. This is looking like another potential push for WetUp when daybreak just needs to find a way into mid.
Sizz here trying to assist with a couple of burst bombs. Not much they can do. Trying to shark under the ledge. I don't mind that at all. Get a pick with the Trizuka. Okay, delay the enemy push a little bit more as they pop the tactical, and they really, really want to push. But look at the clam counts. We got 0 on the defending team. That's all right. But we got 5 on the team that's trying to break through the enemy spawn. That is not what you want to see. It looks
like they're also trying to pass clams around quite a bit right now. Spawns also just were so in their favor that it's quite frankly ridiculous. It's not often you see clam spawns that in favor of a team. I would claim they were doing pod locking stuff, but most teams don't do that. And that's to 32, just their pro left up. I think their pros on respawn needs to probably just focus on surviving and getting special right now. Can't even focus on holding mid as a single player. 30 seconds left on the clock. It is anyone's game.
Yes, Sizz here playing a little bit careful, still sticking back. I would have liked to see this player move into mid a little bit faster, but it's okay. The enemy team hasn't moved into mid. With the Trizuka maybe getting a pick, but no, 2 down on the side of WetUp. Daybreak, this is their game right now. If they only manage to just maintain the stability, save us getting another pick with the Ultra Stamp, with this torpedo trying to push up, apply a little bit more pressure. There's a lot of power clams on, and there's a lot of clams on the side of daybreak.
Just the Snipe Rider
going, just the Snipe Rider. You gotta move up right now, apply some pressure to that Snipe Rider, get the clams. This could be the turnaround they need. WetUp, only 2 clams left. Nox, can they do it? There it is, that's the lead. And they absolutely stole that from the jaws of defeat.
They did.
How could they? Wow. What an intense last match. 2 minutes of absolute stalemate at the start, followed by 3 minutes of chaos and back and forth. Nox, both of these teams played amazingly for this last map, but WetUp found this
their last second opportunity.
And they seized it. That they did. And they're moving on to Grands. 3-2. That is no short feat. That is a very tall feat. actually. 3-2 off of a 2-0. That is absolutely insane. WetUp, kudos to them. Daybreak played amazingly. I'm sure they can pull something in that loser side of the bracket, but wow, I'm so impressed.
Wouldn't be surprised to see a rematch in grand finals, to say the least.
Not at all.
Appreciating Pickups is also still in, though, just to highlight that real quick.
Oh yeah, in semis, and it looks like whoever's playing semis will go into the losers finals against Daybreak. I don't know. Based on what we've seen, I do think that we should be expecting Daybreak versus WetUp, the run back, the salty run back for the grand finals.
To be fair, Appreciating Pickups also wants this run back, though.
I mean, they do, but they.
It was 2-3.
It was 2-3. It was 2. You're absolutely right. You know, it could be anyone's game. We haven't watched the Koalition. I'm sure they might be doing well. We're about to find out. But these three teams that we just talked about, definitely the favorites to win. But my money right now is on WetUp. They're riding this high. Again, winning 3 back-to-back games after being down 2-1 or 2-0 in a very oppressive fashion. That must get your spirits really high, and Daybreak, they need to get their minds off of the rut, because I'm sure they must have been devastated with that loss.
They must have been. And exciting to get to watch the rest of this. That's sadly going to be it from Astura. Anything you want to say before we hand it over to Popgun and Brush?
Look, all I can say is that Popgun and Brush are in for a doozy. These teams are very impressive, and they're so on par that these matches can really go anyone's way, and I'll surely be tuned in.
Yes. Make sure you guys stay tuned in here on IPL for Low Ink Day 2. Going into losers finals. That's been it from us. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Hello, friends, and welcome back to Low Ink February 2026. I am Popgun, joined by Brush, and we got a doozy of a set for you. I do got to say, Brush, we were talking before we came on. Obviously, we've been running this tournament. You were lamenting, or you were kind of patting yourself on the back, talking about how awesome of a job we did of getting commentators for this tournament. You do realize that you and me are making up 50% of today's commentary. Like what are you?
I think what I meant to say was we have two phenomenal casters on the mic right now. That was Dura and Nox, and then I was like, and we got Popgun on later, and I was like, I think in my head I was like the bad egg of the dozen, you know? It's
How
like,
did
oh, look
we
at this
manage
crazy deck. How did we manage
to get two of the head TOs of this tournament to do commentary? But how did we pull that off?
You know, look,
Hey.
in the last 3 months, we've had four of the 5 ever head TOs of Low Ink commentate, because we had Kraken and Hoenn do a block not long ago. So we're on track. We just got to get JPEG out of the depths of wherever he is.
We also had you doing commentary last month, where you saw the Koalition take home the silver medal in the January Low Ink. They are now on stream here in loser semifinals, taking on not the Appreciation Collective, but the Appreciating Pickup. This is a best of 3 set. We're going to be starting off with Splat Zones at the mall, I believe this is, the Barnacle and Dime. And there's the Dynamo, Brush. I told you it was going to be here at some point. There is the correct Dynamo, the one with Soda, making an appearance.
Yeah, you know, it's certainly been fun to see how it plays out now in Low Ink, it being such a test for all these teams. But I'm not even convinced that this stage is going to be its favorite place. But you know, sort of holding that right side early is Dynaman. We saw them on Dynamo most of last month as well, so sort of back to bread and butter for them.
It would make sense. Their name is Dynaman. I mean,
yeah, well, I'm named Brush and I play Junior. Come on.
Well, I saw a player named Tetra yesterday, and they were on Splat Duels. So it's nice when you have somebody who's not a fraud make it this far into the tournament. Up to this point, Booyah Bomb being thrown onto the zone is Appreciating Pickup, doing everything they can to try to wrestle it back into their favor, and maybe they should back up a little bit, go in with the rest of their teammates now that Cherry is set up, except, well, a giant sword to the face has something to say about that. Pencil gone, and the Koalition won't hold onto the zone, but they're in a good position to create some pincers to take it right back.
Megu trying to make something on the bottom side with that Stamper. Not going to find it. SK unable to get any splats with their pinch coming from the left. Now it's Appreciating Pickups, moving back through mid, taking control, but, you know, no lockouts yet so far, Popgun. It's been just a battle of flipping the zone. I mean, 2 splats there, but I'm not sure if it'll be enough even then for the Koalition to hold on.
Appreciation's a little bit out of sync right now, which, I mean, they're a pickup, so of course they would be. I don't think anybody got that Soda drop. You saw the Cherry use it just for themselves, and nobody else was really around to pick it up. So they're not really finding ways to coordinate specials with each other. They got a great opportunity right here, though. Crab, Booyah Bomb, Reslider all online, ready to go. There goes the Reslider before it can be popped. The Crab and Booyah Bomb now being thrown against the Booyah Bomb on the backside as 2 more players go down. The Koalition is taking advantage of the discoordination coming from the pickup.
Now just a couple ticks remaining, with a minute, 2 minute 30 on the clock. A desperation special pop from Appreciating won't be enough. And the Koalition, you know, moonwalking here. Once they got the momentum there, once they got a couple splats, were able to put some ink down. They were able to find the lockout, but Popgun, it took a long time of back and forth where some staggers could have come out either side. I didn't feel like early on the Koalition had their feet in the ground.
The Koalition, who started off the day losing to the Stingrays 2-1 in the winner side of the bracket, has not dropped a single game since. 2-0 against the number 1 seed, and the team that someone complained in help desk yesterday was too strong for Low Ink. They beat them 2-0. Rest of the Milky Way, goodbye. The Stingrays, revenge match, 2-0 them. Pico de Gallo, 2-0 as well. Appreciation Collective just won what I would assume to be a stressful game 3 against the Octaves to even make it into this position. playing a little bit shaky right there. Again, they had a good situation towards the end of that game. You got 3 specials online. Can we find ways to pop them at the same time and get some momentum going with our pencil backing up and taking advantage of the space we're going to create for them? Instead, the Koalition able to get a pick here and there, use their specials to keep and make sure the Appreciation Collective never found a way to get set up. And Appreciating Pickup, I guess I should say, is going to need to find a way to calm back down and win 2 in a row if they want to keep their tournament hopes alive. Brush, can you tell me, since we're in an appreciative mood, what is something you are appreciative of?
That's a great question, Popgun. I feel like I'm back in Thanksgiving, is what I feel like. I am appreciative.
That's thankful.
Well, that's different.
I think so. Yeah.
I'm appreciative for my lack of use of Blue Sky, Popgun. You know, we had the entire community together on Twitter, and in like the 3 months it took us to all move over, I tapped out. And I'm a much happier human now. That's the truth.
Okay. So you're appreciative of being human?
I'm
being
appreciative, I guess, of touching grass. I'm appreciative of. What about you? I know you're still active over there.
I'm appreciative of Thanksgiving, I guess. So I went to thesaurus.com. I typed in the word thankful. Appreciation in any form doesn't appear to be popping up here.
What does pop up for thankful?
Glad, pleased, delighted, satisfied.
We feel strongly, popping that satisfied.
Look, I can appreciate something. I can appreciate something without being thankful about it.
I appreciate that we're starting another game of Splatoon, so I can take the pressure off of me. It's Rainmaker.
I'm not thankful that it is that it's Rainmaker, and that we're seeing a sploosh coming back out here. And of course, it is low ink, so well stringer is a requirement to be used in Rainmaker. Check the rule book. None of you will, because none of you ever read it. Anyways, we do have Koalition in the yellow. This is the counter pick, obviously, from the Appreciating Pickup, as they're slowly getting pushed back right now and getting hammered in the face on top of it. Not a good opening, as there's a window here for the Koalition to get some damage if they could grab the Rainmaker, which they can.
I love how the Koalition, despite having a Dynamo, which historically has made teams a little bit more passive, a little bit slower to move, is willing to pair it with the Sploosh, because that is so aggressive. It moves so quickly, so fast, especially with that hammer. But now on the back foot, defense is going to be a lot harder when you have such a short range melee weapon.
Oh, are they good? Yeah, that's a great move by Cherry. All the players are down from the Koalition. Here's a last-minute crab to slow things down. But Cherry, I was about to say they got a hammer to go with it too, but Cherry grabs it yet again. They're getting a heck of a lot of points off of this one push right now. But the Koalition doing a good job of trying to slow things down, buy time. They got a hammer ready to go themselves. 2 players going down with a hammer being thrown on the backside, allowing the Sploosh to start pushing up. Can they find a way to get the splat back here? They do, so the push is shut down, but still a lot of points put up on the board by the Appreciating Collective, not being able to use the hammer by Cherry, who was holding on to it that entire time.
Yeah, you got to be careful who's grabbing that Rainmaker. And on the opposite side of that hand, I mean, when you're playing that defensive, it's so hard to be a Sploosh-o-matic and be doing anything. Fascinatingly, they are the ones to pick it up. It's SK Sploosh carrying that Rainmaker to the other side. So if their team wants the aggression they need on this push, they're gonna have to sort of rotate around and see if SK can get in position. But backed up now is the push. Magu going up, finding a couple picks with that hammer. Or with that. Oh my gosh, Popgun. Chainsaw?
Chainsaw? The Stamper?
The Stamper, thank you. And that's going to be the only aggressive player and only player left, so maybe a choke out here.
Yes, I'm sure Nintendo made sure to call that the Chainsaw, is what they were going with right there. But we'll circle back to that. Damage done. The Koalition able to get past to the first checkpoint, but they seem to be in control of things in general right now as well. They have control of mid. The Chainsaw has been making a living on that side of the map, as it is pretty clear the Koalition is obviously going to be going to the left with this push, and they're just waiting for things to kind of get set up right now. And if you are Appreciating Pickup, just don't want to feed into it. Right there. Maybe not the right time to drop down with that hammer. It's just the machine left alive. Lead goes to the Koalition, and that might be the match as well. 2-0 out of nowhere. Welcome to Rainmaker.
Yeah, you gotta check the pocket watch. You gotta check the time in the games. It doesn't matter at what point you are in Rainmaker. If you're going to have the aggression here and just hold forward after a couple picks, that it can slip from you like it's nothing. So, yeah, I mean, just a couple picks at the moment, and it'll switch over, and that's what you get for the Koalition, the aggression from that comp.
And now all of the appreciation content that we had planned for the rest of this broadcast, just like that, gone. Just because appreciated pickups didn't... Okay, look, we got this pretty decent lead. We can let them, like, turn the corner. Now, we can't let them get too far past that corner, but we don't have to, like, sell all out to try to just rush a hammer in there against 4 players to see if we can get a splat. Like, you're allowed to be a little bit patient. That's the benefit of having a huge lead and plenty of time to work with. But ultimately, just making the one mistake that ended up costing them the entire set at that point. But still a good run for a team that is literally named a Pickup. And kudos to them for not naming themselves something stupid that wouldn't have any correlation at all. We understand by their name 2 things. They are related to the Appreciation Collective, but it's not that same team. It's a Pickup variant of it. It conveys so much with so little effort, and they're rewarded with a 4th place in Lowing for it.
I have a question for you, Popgun.
Oh, no.
Hey, Joe Ryan, our stream producer, is going to pull this up for us, but what do you think of the Koalition's logo?
I have not seen it.
Yeah, let's get it back up here for everyone to appreciate. It's the meme, you know, the handshake meme, but it's got an avocado and a koala.
Oh, you know what? I've commentated this team many moons ago, and that was explained to me, and I didn't care enough to remember.
Well, okay, so that's the end of that one. You can take it off stream. It's fine. We don't need to look at it anymore. I don't care. That was it. We go back to the
I
bracket.
get the koala part. I mean, that goes without explanation. I mean, it's the avocado that throws the...
It's the avocado that I don't get either. I guess that's why I'm asking. Yeah, sure. We're looking at Gamma here for a moment just to see they're on pace with us. A little bit ahead finals over there. Losers finals, they're already wrapping up. C Cadence is going to be moving up to Grands. Maybe we'll pop on over to Beta. Sashimi Shenaga. What was that?
Yeah. No, keep going. You got it. Work it out.
Shenanigans. I found it. That's their team name.
Yes.
It was a word in English.
It's not the tricky word in that, but go on.
I got sashimi, no problem.
If we take a look here at Beta bracket, Bo is a front line. That is debatable, but you're in a position to get a medal in Beta bracket. So
Popgun, spell shenanigans.
I don't have to. We just saw it on stream a little bit while ago.
Koalition
if you want me to spell things to the audience, this is going to be a very sideways stream very quickly. Because you know darn well, I grew up in Kentucky, and you know darn well they did not teach us how to read or write down there.
No, that explains Pico de Gallo from earlier.
So here we go. The Koalition moves on. You know, the combination of avocados and koala bears has got them back into losers finals where they were last month, as you know, Brush. They're taking on Daybreak, which is made up of our boss here at IPL, Grace, which I believe due to nepotism laws, Grace is not allowed to play on stream for IPL for a tournament for an organization that she is the leader of. Sure. So, but everybody else on Daybreak has been rocking and rolling. 2-0 up on WetUp, and then got reverse swept, and that's why they're now on loser side. But the Koalition, who is 10-0, 10 straight wins without a loss. Yeah, that's what 2 times. Actually, yeah,
it's 8.
Okay.
Yeah, 8.
What?
Is it
No,
8?
they won
It's
5.
10?
Yeah,
I
2 times
can't
5
read a
is 10.
bracket. Yeah, here we go. Someone read this bracket
Yes.
for me, because I don't know how to do it.
Yes,
2,
that
4,
is
6,
10
8,
straight wins.
10. Okay, 10. Yeah.
So
That's what I
10 straight
said.
wins for the Koalition versus 3 straight losses for Daybreak. If you want to have a talk about momentum, it can't get any more lopsided than that going into a losers finals in Low Inc. And we will we'll see if Daybreak can bounce back here in game 1, if the Koalition train keeps moving along. Splat zones at Hagglefish. The chainsaw coming back out for the Koalition, and the heavy pencil combo is still here.
Why would you call it that? It's called a sticker stamper, Popgun.
Sticker stamper, yes.
The Explo out from Dynaman. So, again, bread and butter for Koalition. We've seen this month after month from them. And what a great job watching that right side. Neon, nothing coming through, but they're forgetting about the left a little bit. But, I mean, what a strange Daybreak, sending both of their flankers out. Both of them forced to retreat, though, and the zone is going to go to Koalition early. Finding the utility out of those flanks now. It's Gillies with that carbon. Not going to quite find it yet. And a 4v3 with some specials online for the Koalition. They're going to hold on here and maybe get
So
a lot.
Daybreak's strategy for this is going to be the Snipe Rider, as we're saying the full names of these things now. The Snipe Rider and the Vanilla Heavy. Going to have to control the zone, work the way to control the mid. And you saw the Gal and the Carbon do the both flanks by themselves and just kind of hope they work out on the left or right side. Neither one of them did. The Gal got eliminated. The Carbon said, the heck with this. I'm jumping back to one of my 2 anchor players that we have. So if they're going to do those flanks, they're going to have to find ways to get the Heavy and the Pencil in combination to help support them somehow, because them just going by themselves is not going to work against the Koalition.
Once again, pushing into mid is the Koalition, but they're down a player. Splats in favor of Daybreak, so not quite finding the utility they need. Now going down is SK, traded off the Sploosh-O-Matic for that Tri-Slosher, so retreating now is the Koalition. Just a fight to get into mid, no specials to their name. See if the Explo Dynaman is going to be able to make up for that.
Yeah, and Gillies, once again, just going in by themselves the same exact way, too. If I'm the Koalition, I'm just saying, hey, anytime they get the zone, just start shooting to the left. There's going to be a Carbon right there. This time, Gillies going in with the right, now working in conjunction with the Gal to try to make something along this left side, while their Charger and their Splatling try to do some damage on the mid. By the way, the Koalition with the X-Splosh trying to hold down things, trying to push back both the Pencil and the Heavy to create some room for the rest of their players to start pushing up.
Dynaman spamming this splashdown like it's ink armor from Splatoon 2. I mean, just always having paint below their feet, using the special up in zone. That's how they're going to keep this counter ticking in their favor halfway through this game now. 34 ticks remaining, but a zone flip once again. So doing a good job not getting too staggered here. Backing up is the Koalition. Finally, Daybreak looks to have some semblance of a lockout.
Now, Brush, if you are a flanking team and your flanks are not working, what do? What is the
Flank
adjustment
more.
you make?
Flank more.
Yeah, exactly. You don't make an adjustment. You just keep flanking over and over and over again, because eventually one of them is going to work, and then that's going to be all she wrote at that
It's just
point.
so hard, Papa, because you see the counter keep ticking. You see it keep ticking, and you don't want to
Yeah.
do it.
But this is what your team is built to do on this map. You see Gillies yet again, once again getting shut down a lot. It's almost like the Stamper player right here was expecting it and doing a good job getting a trade out back there. But this is still a winnable situation for Daybreak. This is just a back and forth tug and war that's currently in Koalition's favor. But again, one of those flanks is going to land at some point. That might have been it right there. Gillies going along the left side, or I guess.
Look
that's
at,
the
but look
top
how
side.
Gillies backed up and rotated back around. I think that's the adjustment. Maybe is look at Gillies not overextending on those flanks, being able to respect the space and move back. But that might not be true for a lockout, as Koalition finds a full four splats and takes the zone once again.
Tri-Slosher, go! I'm gonna fight the whole world right here. I got soda in me, so fair enough. You get right back into the action. But now 1 minute left to go. The Koalition got rid of all their penalty points. Just trying to weather the storm of a lot of specials being thrown out here by Daybreak that won't get them control the zone. It is getting them a bunch of splats. There goes the splashdown yet again. I've been convinced it's been used up to this point as just an ink refill. so that Dynaman can just keep,
lobbing shots,
those loogies across the map and into the zone right here. But this is your situation right now. Neon putting down the wall for that their flanking sibling can join back in and help them. This might be the one push Daybreak's been looking for this whole time.
Just under 40 ticks to the lead, but a zone flip once again. The Koalition finding 2 in the process. Now Poland trying to get some fall-off shots there. Not going to quite find it. 30 ticks in the penalty for them with 13 seconds remaining. We're not going to see a KO by the Koalition if they can keep holding on here. 3 down in their favor. A dogfight in mid, chomping down on those Choco sticks, and they are going to find the game. That's another one for the Koalition, keeping the momentum alive.
And Megu putting the controller down, and rightfully so. Why exert more energy when the game's already over? Take the dub. 11 straight wins for the team that has spent the entire day in losers bracket as the train moves on for the Koalition. Look, Daybreak's obviously been very successful this tournament. At worst, they're going to get 3rd place in a 90-team low ink. My question is, what is your this Snipe Rider heavy comp, which, are you aware why heavy has made like a huge presence in the scene as of late, Brush?
I do, but for the audience, explain in detail.
So Keo put out a tweet like I think a week or 2 weeks ago about like a solo queue game he played where a heavy on his team put down 4K paint points, whatever that is. Yeah. So
no.
it's got everyone in this mindset. Oh my gosh, this weapon paints like insanely well. And put the replay code. You watch the replay code, the heavy splatling doesn't move at all. It stays in one spot and just trades paint back and forth against the other team. And the other team has like a junior, an H3, and another heavy.
And
like there's no weapon to like dislodge the heavy. So it just stays there and paints the zone over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And the other team has a high painting comp. So they're just like giving them more room to paint with. Now, that doesn't mean heavy is bad by any stretch of the imagination. I just, in this comp, I would like to see the heavy be more aggressive, which you can't. You can pull out. I'm not saying like frontline with the thing, but in on that map specifically, maybe it's a little bit more difficult. It's not like you can just flank with it, and there's certain alleyways you can go. But I would like to see the heavy start to push up a little bit more, kind of play it similarly, not like exactly like a Nautilus, but a little bit more of a let me get right behind my teammates and start putting some crossfire rather than just, here's just another anchor spot for somebody to jump to. Like the Snipe Rider's got that down.
Tower ship shape can be so difficult for a backline on a push, though. You're constantly underneath where your opponents are, unless your front lines can sort of take the aggressive position on the stage and dislodge those typical anchor spots, which become super important defensive hotspots. So for a backline, for a heavy on this one, it's gonna be a push and pull if you want them basically up against that tower, supporting the team in that way.
Well, this is a great counter pick for Daybreak,
for sure,
for the comp they want to use. The Koalition, able to get a win without using Dynamo. Using the X-Splosh in that last one, I think that was just kind of a map-specific thing. Are they going to be using Dynamo here? No, I think that's the Flingza at first glance. Is that what?
I think
that's the Dynamo. Yeah. No, it's the Dynamo. It's the Soda variant. I don't know why I was expecting missiles, but there is missiles on Daybreak's side. They do have the Frozen Pro, another get off the special kind of get off the tower kind of special.
I feel like there's less aggression from Daybreak here. Only the Carbon is going to be able to open opportunities on the front lines. So sort of trading in for a little bit of extra range, but keeping in that comp. As the gal goes bye-bye.
And on a map like this, where this is the closest thing to Rainmaker you could do if your tournament doesn't include Rainmaker, is tower control ship shape. It's because there's 2 checkpoints and they fall like nothing else.
Right.
So like the more defensive style comp the Daybreak is using right here, maybe not suited to this style of map, but maybe the style of play that they want to use with this exact comp. I'm assuming this is the counter pick they've been using throughout the day and it's been successful. for them. But right now, the Koalition seems to have some control of mid. And there's no real, there's just nowhere for Gillies to go other than just that wall to try to make something happen. Shut down yet again, expertly by the Koalition.
Koalition now looking at something of a more traditional push. Dynamo on that tower with the maybe a trade coming out for Crab as well in the area. So just sort of getting your front lines up, taking space, putting paint down, forcing all of Daybreak onto that top right. You see them realizing, oh no, another checkpoint up ahead. We got to rotate left. So all the way back in their spawn is Daybreak. The Koalition specials after specials, finding two there on the front lines with that splashdown. A nice start of a push here for the Koalas.
I mean, this is fantastic for Koalition. Yes, in 2 seconds, Daybreak could take the lead right back. I understand that. But the way Daybreak's comp is built, the best scenario for them is to get a huge lead and turtle up and bleed time off the clock that way. This comp isn't really built as a high-octane offense to try to come back from a hole like this and then start to turtle up. So now they're going to have to start, like I was saying, find ways to get aggression. If your heavy's going to be on the tower, find ways to get that pencil start pushing up so that they can take more of this long alleyway here on the left. And Neon's got to start finding ways to create some spaces as well, and then staying back here. If there's nowhere for them to go, how's the tower going to go anywhere as well?
Yeah, when you've got two stuck on the tower and it's your pro and your heavy, that means that a pencil being down leaves you with one player. Now, Gillies, that last one, the carbon down as well. You'll see immediately the Koalition pushing up, finding another. Now, Poland looking at the last player there on the left, where they're going to rotate over. Just one now ahead of the tower. Dynaman doing a great job putting paint down, having support for that team with that juice now. 3v3 as they're once again pushing forward, but, oh, maybe a little too aggressive. They're going to have to stall here for their respawn.
There's still a lot for the Koalition to get out of a push like this. 2 minutes left is an eternity on this map. If you could get a 2 checkpoint lead, actually you don't even have a checkpoint lead anymore. So if you can knock out that second checkpoint, that'd be huge for the rest of this game. But Daybreak doing a good job of at least not surrendering their side of the map just yet. Missile's going to start pushing some players back, but Soda's going to be in the veins of the Koalition. They're going to have plenty to work with here to start slowing down a Daybreak push that's going to have to go without stopping for a checkpoint. Actually, if they get to that second checkpoint, they automatically get lead.
True, but first they have to get on the tower. Oshama now, a new rider for their team. It's the pencil. They're going to drop some juice ahead, but I think that's on the tower path, so juice no more. Gillies, I don't think got it. That's their Slayer with the carbon, not able to have the advantages of the rest of their team. They're just going to try to poke, but they don't have the range to do anything. Neon, though, doing a great job opening it up for Max Mix on the heavy, but the tower rider goes down. It's SK's flank. The aggression as we tick over to 1 minute left of play. Daybreak, though, still seems to have some semblance of a push moving.
I thought it was over when those players got splatted, but enough players still left alive to make it allow for them to jump right back into the action. Lead for Daybreak. They are going to clear that checkpoint as well. They might even get the KO right here because more players go down. The Blaster doing a good job up top of getting enough splats right here. But now, finally, with 30 seconds left to go, the value that the comp has, that Daybreak has here, is going to be put on display. You are built to turtle up and hold on to leads in this situation. And really, you're nowhere near close to getting missiles, though. That's going to be a problem. I guess it's not if you can just get some splats right here. Nice double by the heavy.
Koalition needs to find some splats of their own if they want to have any chance of an overtime move here. Dynaman not quite finding utility yet. Now on the left side, a nice pick for Daybreak means their first shooter goes down, and another pick right before game ends. So what a way to stay in the action, stay moving for Daybreak, and not allow sort of not allow that point score to get to them. It was one push. It's always one push. That's all you need to win in tower. And they found it there sort of in the nick of time. Patience
by both teams being put on display right there. Daybreak waiting for the right opportunity and realizing that one push that they had at the end right there. Okay, two players go down and nobody's near the tower. Okay, let's just back up. Let everybody jump right into us. Let's not give up on this push. And maybe Koalition be a little bit overextending that instead of just trying to take control of their space, trying to get mid a little bit more earlier than what they should have. But still, here's the story now. The Koalition's win streak, they haven't lost in over 2.5 hours. That's their first L. Daybreak had lost 4 in a row. They get the taste of victory back into their mouth with the first counter. The Koalition hasn't made a counter pick since the start of the day. I wonder if they even remember what maps they like to go with here.
Probably not where we're headed, it being just where we were, and a loss for them. They've obviously gotten the Splat Zones thing down today, but they can't go back there either. That leaves, if we're being wise here, I think Clam Blitz on the table for them. So then it's just about finding a stage.
Well, let's see. They can't pick Splat Zones because that's what they've...
Oh no, Bob.
Well, so you can't win the most. You can't pick the most recent one that you've had here. Oh no! Oh, I see now.
That's what it was. Yeah. It's a low-end classic, Popkin. We can't go a day without seeing it.
Okay, so you're thinking your Dynamo, and you're thinking, okay, maybe the walls we could take advantage of here. Maybe we got some right spots on this, but I don't know. I mean,
no,
I don't.
Here's what you're thinking, Popgun. You're thinking we scrimmed this and we did really well on this map because we must be good at this map mode. What they're not thinking is, oh, they must also be good at this map mode. Like, this is one of those bread and butter Splatoon modes. And
so Tower Control Art Academy is hilariously overpicked in some of the higher levels. I mean, it's not. If you think it's the best situation for you, so be it. I mean, people would pick this against Starburst, and then Starburst would counterpick it right back against them. And It's like, what do you think is good at the advantage here? But in low ink, everybody's comps are so different that, it can work out. I just don't like going up against the more defensive build that Daybreak has on a map that has more checkpoints, more kind of situations for them to get set up to defend those checkpoints with the comps that they have. But if you bring a Rapid Blaster into the mix, maybe you feel a little bit different about it.
A little bit more range for the Koalition here. What do you say?
Sure. What do you mean, what do I say? It was your turn. I passed the mic to you.
And I passed it back. I don't want to talk about the start of the game.
Okay.
It's boring.
Yeah, fine. I'll just solo this. I'm sorry. I forgot this. I didn't realize this wasn't a partner duo we were doing right here. By the way, that Rapid Blaster, I don't even know what the kit is on the vanilla one. I'm not used to seeing that. It's not the Inkjet one, is it?
The Tri-Strike.
It's the Ink Strikes, the triple strikes. Yeah, okay. That works.
Dynaman on the tower. 3 go down. It's Megu on the right side, finding the last of that wipeout. A little bit delayed, so now, not wanting to get called out there. And one goes down on the left side, but a good job taking bats quickly for the Koalition now, keeping up the aggression as they kind of roll through this checkpoint, but not having enough utility. And they're going to go down, but there's the checkpoint falling. They got to slow down their players coming back.
Dynaman says the Gillies, my roller is bigger than yours, as they ultimately end up in a trade right there. That is a Sniper Rider player desperately trying to stay alive. It's not going to happen. The Dynamo dancing around on the tower with a Booyah Bomb to guide the way as Daybreak is just staggered. Give up this third checkpoint. Just give it up. You're about to get KO'd right here. Get set up here defensively. There comes the Ink Strikes with the Wave Breaker on top to try to slow things down. Daybreak was just not coordinated during that one. Just going in 2 at a time, getting splatted 2 at a time. Okay, finally, let go of the checkpoint. Stay alive in this one. But in a similar situation, a more dire situation than the last game brushed. Early on, a huge hole that they're going to have to overcome. 3 checkpoints down, and the Koalition now has to decide how they're going to bleed time off the clock.
I know we've been talking a lot about Daybreak having the more defensive comp. I don't think the Koalition can't play defense, though. So when you're looking at 9 ticks left for a KO for the Koalition versus no points on the board for Daybreak, it's hard to sit here and not think that a snowball of the caliber that Daybreak needs is on the horizon.
Well, the problem is, how do you start pushing up if you're Daybreak?
Right, yeah.
I mean, like somebody other than the Carbon, and it's not like you have I guess Heavy Splatwing's the highest painted weapon of all time. You've got some room to put there, but they need to find ways to get splats to put down paint for their Carbon to work with. But they're gonna have to, I don't know. I think this comp just relies a bit too much on the carbon being able to pop off, which if they do, they'll win. But I mean, you can say that about anybody, I guess, right here. It's just, I'm struggling to find the winning condition, as the kids like to say here, for Daybreak. In the Koalition, it really just comes down to not making a mistake. Like, don't give them the window they need right here, like they are right now.
Pro v Pro 1v1 goes to the Crab. It's not quite a 1v1, though. Neon now taking advantage of the quote-unquote 1v1. They're going to move up now. Take control of Bats there, trading off for a teammate Gillies on this tower. Maybe not my favorite person to ride, but someone has to do it. Now, the rotation happens with Juice on the way. Their push is going to get stalled out, and actually a full wipeout there in favor of the Koalition. So not much more than a checkpoint to their name, but at least it's points on the board for Daybreak.
Oh, that's massive. And yeah, you don't want the carbon. With this comp, the carbon is the last person you want on the tower. But to get across the second checkpoint, it's all hands on deck. Like, anybody who can just get us across there, fine. Now it sets up Daybreak in a much better situation. But the Koalition is doing what you're supposed to do when you have a huge lead, which is to keep the tower on the enemy side of the map and keep going for that KO. Keep the pressure on the enemy team to do that. And when you realize there's nothing there, then you slowly start the backups, then slowly start to hold control mid and get spaces. We see Neon trying to make a play along the top side by themselves with the Pro, and well, the Forge Pro trying to do something about it. Gillies making the rotation over there gets shut down as more time gets taken off of the clock here. And keep in mind, the Koalition does have the GG special of the Booyah Bomb. Actually, they got 2 Booyah Bombs they can work with as we get down to the final 30 seconds.
Some flow for Pola on
needed.
4 picks. I think it's 5 back-to-back. Jump after jump, just feeding into that. Now SK going to pick up where they left off, finding one. A trade goes down. Gillies finds the other one. So now defense, they have the Squid Kid advantage. But you can't go down yet, Gillies. Oh, wow, a quad of their own back the other way to hold on to that defense. But again, a 40-point deficit just about, and 1 defense is all the Koalition is going to need to take this game 3.
And 1 Booyah Bomb is all the Koalition is going to need to shut this down, and they got 2 that they're trying to build up. Daybreak has to start pushing up and try to get some of those early splats before those Booyah. There's 1 Booyah Bomb option taken away. Can they take care of the Stamper that's climbing the tower, over-committing, putting a lot of pressure onto the Bats, opened up the door for the Chainsaw to come around the backside and get to the tower. Nicely done by the Koalition. No Booyah Bomb needed. And they weathered the storm there at the very end to take the lead once again in the match, 2-1.
And now a match point for the Koalition. Their win streak no longer, but building up a new one of their own as we go to Rainbow Mode on stream. You know, historically, we were talking about this before we went live. Historically, it's for grands, but I think that we should just use it whenever anything cool happens.
Yeah,
So-
we're in flow aura state right
We're in
now
flow
as
aura
a
mode,
tournament.
Exactly. Yeah, right. We found a new thing to talk about. Okay.
And we're
counter pick. You think it's tower again? Oh, they can't.
We're going well.
They can't.
That can't. Actually, Daybreak can do anything but tower control. At this point, because you can't do the most recent win, and well, it's the only win that they have. And fair enough, they are going to go with Clam Blitz at the Museum as their counter pick here in a must-win situation. For them, win or be forced to watch the rest of the stream with the rest of the idiots in chat. I'd rather win, personally.
Yeah, I feel similarly. So, okay, but here's my thought. Like, Daybreak's first counter pick, which they win on, is a very small, condensed, tight map, or stage, to play. You got me, Pop Gun. But now we're going. Well, I slipped a map instead of a stage. We talked about.
We've butchered.
Okay.
We'll share that inside joke
Okay,
in a minute,
good.
but we've already butchered that. Yeah.
But Clam's Museum is kind of the ultimate large stage. It's like we went from a size 7 toddler, and now we're wearing 3XL clothing. I mean, it is sort of the polar opposite in stage from Ship Shape Cargo.
PJ's at a size 3 toddler.
Yeah.
So I'm just picturing in my head double the size of him plus some extra for what a size 7 top. Do they go up to 7T, or when
Yeah,
do they
when
go
I
to like
was- when I
normal
was, like,
human sizes?
15, I found at a thrift store this leopard print coat that was a size 7 toddler. And I would like squeeze my body into it. It didn't fit. It was still too small, but got some good photos.
Thank you, Bryce.
Yeah.
Leopard print?
Leopard print. It looked like a very rich child had lived in that town.
Well, I don't know how to segue that into. I'm sorry, I'm not that good. There's a brush. Hey, brush. There's a brush over there. A quick respawn brush. Nouveau with hammer. I'm assuming that's the person who is flanking. Oh no, actually, that's got to be the stamper. Just the way that the ink is being projected there. But a double flank along the left side, right off the bat for the Koalition to try to make something happen very early on against Daybreak. And it looks like that flank is going to shut down. That's how this map works. You either flank along that right side or you don't. And since it's the most obvious flank you could do in pretty much any stage ever, everyone's pretty much ready for it at this point. But when you buy enough time for a Booyah Bomb to be built up and start taking some space right there, it's a good opportunity for the Koalition to start off with a lead.
So Koalition, plenty of paint down on the stage. They're moving up here. Ball to their name, a Booyah Bomb coming out for Polon. They're going to throw that ahead. But not quite having the squid advantage they need. Players still online for Daybreak. Another Booyah Bomb goes out, but trades galore. It's just going to be one player left. So there's the opening for Megu with that Super Clam. SK able to sort of forge a path forward with that ink brush.
Are they going to get... They're going to get more out of this. The two players left alive are the long-range players for Daybreak, so they can do enough crossfire to kind of stop. Yeah, so they're not going to get more than the 71. Not the ideal push you want on the opening thing. The good news for Koalition is they still have control of the stage. They got mid, they got the pressure on Daybreak. It's up to Daybreak to kind of break out of this. And they're getting more trades going back and forth. Who's flanking all the way around back there? What was that all
that's
about?
that ink brush. Just playing so hyper aggressive. We saw them on the sploosh earlier today, not actually playing so aggressive there, but it seems like with the ink brush their mind has changed. Maybe it's all that quick respawn.
Well, might as well. Why have all the quick respawn if you're not going to put yourself in a situation where you need to respond quickly? Otherwise, you're just throwing, obviously. But opening lead does go to the Koalition. It is not the lead that they want at this point, but yet again, things still kind of neutral right here as we just cross the 2-minute mark into this one, as Daybreak's starting to get control of mid. The Pencil's in the right kind of spot. One splat going down from Daybreak. Something's trying to open up here. They don't really have any clams, though.
They also,
That's a problem.
despite being in control of mid, paint is hard. Like the left side from our point of view there is still mostly yellow, and that's sort of where they were moving through to get to mid, or to the opponent's platform. So just struggling to keep paint down. Max Mix not doing what Kyo thought the Splatling was meant to do.
Well, yeah, this Splatling is moving too much for the one that was in Kyo's kind of lobby right there, but so be it. Able to just kind of hold onto some space a bit, as I'm trying to find an opening for something to happen for anybody right here. Specials aren't really going to find a way to get deployed. Clams are being built up by Daybreak, but as soon as we say that, the Dynamo snipes somebody else, and this shuts down an opportunity for them to start pushing up the ramp side. So it's not easy sledding for either team at this point, as nobody's really established control or had a good opportunity to get a push even started in the past minute and a half.
Man, just sort of playing this paint game, not allowing anyone to tiptoe underneath the plat, then up to mid to do the same, but somehow Daybreak able to find a way through. There's 2 players to their name, 3v2 now on the field, and Megu forced to back all the way up with that Stamper. So just one player, just Dynaman, playing that defensive, and the spinner not going the direction they want it. And look how much purple's going down. No, SK on the flank, though. I think that might be enough to shut down a push for a minute.
I mean, when you take the top off the defense like that, yeah, that pretty much ends it right there. And your power clams jumping out. So back to square one is Daybreak. The question is, can the Koalition capitalize off of this opportunity that was presented to them by their brush player and put some more points up on the board. I mean, this is not a yeah, you're going to win at this point because Daybreak's having a lot of opportunity getting out of their own base, but I don't want to get down to a scenario where all they got to do is pop the basket and throw in a handful of clams and the lead is gone. But Daybreak's going to have an opportunity to do that in the closing minutes here.
Done it once before on tower. Now is their chance to relive those dreams on clams. 2 picks down in their favor. Dynaman finds one on Gillies to make up some of that difference now. Just looking for a way in as 10 seconds remain. A clam, a super clam, and a couple clams is all they need. And now Minmax coming in, looking for something. You're right about the ink brush. There's the flank, and so not quite finding anything as players start to go down. Neon stuck in a 1v1 will go down as well. I think that's it, Pop Gun. I don't know.
Well, like we said in game 1, if you're going to flank, just keep doing it over and over and over again. Eventually, it's going to work out. It worked out that second the last time for the Koalition with SK just completely shutting down and a potential push from Daybreak. And I'm kind of surprised when they didn't see the brush for like 10 seconds where nobody thought, hey, wait a minute. Would they be coming from that same spot? Oh, yeah, they did. Oh, they just got a double. Oh, the game's over. That's just rough to keep focus in a situation like this where it's like, oh my gosh, we lose this. Our tournament run is over. We've been doing so well all day. To just think about, oh, wait, where's that? Oh, you lose sight of the flank just once. And they've been doing a decent job of shutting it down, especially in the beginning. But, yeah, you just lose sight of it once and then tournament runs over. That's tough. That's tough. But a great run by Daybreak. Great run.
You're our stats in-house statistician for IPL and Low Ink. I've got a question for you. Maybe I'll stall while you do research.
Okay.
Do we have any stats relating to teams that are repeat back-to-back grand finalist contenders? Because Koalition's back in it.
I don't have the exact numbers of that. That has happened a handful of times. Right. It happened recently where a team got back into it and then actually won it. The track record historically, if you go all the way back to the first Low Ink in 2018, a team that finishes in second place in Low Ink, if they play again the next month, almost never wins it. Like almost never. We're talking about like 5-6 teams all time ever getting into that situation because it's such a difficult tournament to play through. Even if you are like the best team on paper, there's so much that you have to survive over a course of a weekend to get to this point. And I mean, look at the beginning of this. The Koalition lost at the start of the day. And they're probably thinking like, oh my gosh, we got to spend the whole time in losers. We trip up once and it's over. Instead, they win 13 games and only drop 1 in losers bracket. Do they have 6 more left in them against a team that has not dropped a match all weekend long in WetUp? That is the question we're going to be answering in a little bit. We're going to take a quick break because Brush has to go use the potty. In the meantime, you guys do the same. Get you some snacks, some popcorns, and we will enjoy one of the best grand finals you will ever see in your life. That's a promise. Any ball sport ever. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I think we can promise that, or your money back. You know?
Yeah, actually, I'm more than happy that, or your money back.
Yeah,
unless you subscribe to us, we got to keep that. We need that.
Oh, true. Yeah,
childcare is not cheap.
It's not. Okay, we'll be back. Get your popcorn. I've been thinking a lot about Popgun and his hello friends and welcome back, because I've been doing this for like 4 years and I still don't have like a kitschy lead in. I usually just steal yours, Popgun, and it still hasn't become my brand. It's still your brand.
You know we're live, right?
I do. That was my lead-in.
That's your lead-in? Your lead-in is talking about copying my
awesome.
lead-in and failing
I thought
at
that
it?
was such a good lead-in.
Oh. It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, we haven't done this in a year.
It's been too long. By the way, for those of you who are wondering what division you got, I actually know.
Okay.
And all of you are going to know at the top of the hour. The official Looney Channel announced that they were going to do a reveal show at 5 p.m. Eastern Time with special guests Sasu, Dark, and Fufu. Which is, and those three do not know what the divisions are. So they're going to have basically live reactions to the divs like the rest of you are. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I will tell you tomorrow on my podcast, the Popcast, that WetUp in the Koalition had a very interesting debate earlier this morning. It just so happens they're both playing each other in this grand finals. And, well, I'll say this. If one team wins, the seeding council's going to look really smart because we finished the divisions before this is said. If the other team wins, people are going to be like, how did this happen? When divisions come out, there's going to be some outrage. I'll just leave it at that. So,
Popgun, when you were working on the seeding council, they told you they were doing golf rules this time, right?
well, I showed them the script we had for Low Ink, and it's played out
Right.
the right
But
way
it's like,
it up so
it's
far.
like the higher number is the better div this time. They told you,
Well,
right?
That's going to work really bad for all the teams that are in Division X, I guess. There is the Vampire King, I guess we'll go with that, who's been using E-Leader up to this point in most of the games that we've seen them play here. And the Game 1 classic Splat Zones make Omar they find ways to get the E-Leader into the right spot to be able to do some damage right here. This is the first time I believe both teams have played each other all weekend long.
The leader, we haven't seen, I haven't seen Pop in such a long time. Just players evaporate out of midair. I'm so used to sort of like seeing the attacker and assessing the situation, and okay, now we fight to see who gets the splat. It's kind of refreshing to just see players disappear off your screen.
Evaporate out. That was your sulfuric acid movement, and you missed.
Oh, you
the
don't get to
opportunity
steal my
drop it.
line, Bob.
I just
what is this?
that was for you.
This is
You let it
crazy.
go. What do you mean? You let it go? Just like the Koalition is letting the zone go, as WetUp, the team that has been waiting for about an hour for this set to start, is picking up right where they left off. A reverse sweep to get into this one, and now they're looking to get the early KO, unless the Koalition has something they can pull out really quick right here. With the Octobrush, with the missiles being fallen, on top of that, they take care of the Inkjet. Two players going down on the side of WetUp. Can the zone be flipped back? It's just the Dynamo versus the E-Leader, and the E-Leader has the high ground, Anakin, so that's not going to work out too well. Jumps desperately coming in. They're going to have Soda to work with. Can they attack the zone in time? I died.
What? Why haven't we painting? It's splat zones. You. That's how. Why?
Yep. There you go. WetUp wins. Moving on to game 2. That happened. Brush, where are you in your room right now? I can barely. I think Brush fell out of his chair.
I don't understand. We play Splatoon before you play any of the ranked game modes. You learn how to put ink down. You play Turf War.
I mean, WetUp just wins. That's just what you do right there. I'm surprised that the Dynamo survived. I mean, they were just right in front of that face of the E-Leader. It is like, oh, that's such an easy picking, but they didn't get it. And now the Koalition is opting to go with Splat Zone's Mahi Mahi Resort against an E-Leader.
Yeah, we saw this a ton last month, though, Popgun. This was Koalition sort of first counter pick every time.
Were they playing an E-leader last month?
No, I don't
an
think
E-leader
they
that just
were.
soloed your Dynamo?
It's
I
true.
don't know about this one. We'll see how it works out though. Obviously, but I mean, this is a must-win for the Koalition. You go down 2-0 against a team like WetUp in this situation right here. That might be cookies and juice at this point. Dropping the Dynamo in favor of the X-Blosh. Here comes a Carbon out and said, hey, I know you guys saw Carbon a lot last time. How about Sizz with the Ninja Squid Carbon? See what you got to do with that.
Vampire King doubling down on that E-leader, now adding the scope. So a little bit more range for them here. That's going to be difficult to work around. Dynaman sort of hugging that little pillow. They're going to back up. They see a laser come out along with the inkjet by Cybral. Now a 3v2 on the field as trades and picks come out.
Uh-oh. Behind you! Behind you! Oh no, they lost track of the Dapple dualies. And 2 players instantly explode. That should be the zone into the Koalition's favor as the zone's dropping. So this is a great situation for the Koalition. Oh, they just completely lost track of the Dapples.
Yeah, I mean, for SK, I think this is the 5th weapon we've seen from them today on stream, at least. So, a jack of all trades here, and it's paying off as they're able to sort of work around, find things that'll help them displace their opponent's comp. That's the flex player you need to see, but going down is them.
So the zone has been dropped, so which means we can actually play the stage now. And WetUp holds on to their lead, weathering the storm. But the missiles are going to be key here to make sure that Vampire King is just constantly hopping back and forth. Now, you don't want them to get set up up top there with plenty of room around them and nobody flanking behind them. It's going to be a hard thing to deal with. But they're doing a good job so far of making sure that the E-leader doesn't get comfortable. And now it's just a question of, okay, how do you win the reslider tug of war that their Dreadringer is going to be presenting? Oh, but the Koalition has the lead, actually. So now they're going to have to do more than just tug of war.
WetUp has been doing a great job using that inkjet for utility, finding a pick, forcing displacement, forcing your opponents to move, even if you're not going to find the splat. It's Cybral with that umbrella there, going to go down now, but not before they find a couple picks through him. Just SK sort of trying to dance around and stay alive, but E-leader pointed a laser at them. And we're back to a staggering mid, but oh my gosh, WetUp's keeping the aggression. 3 picks back-to-back and another evaporation there.
Yeah, and that's why the E-leader, knowing that nobody's going to flank around behind them, can just stay right there and dominate so much of the map. Like, okay, you're not even safe over there. But as long as they got those missiles, they're going to have to move in with that. The Booyah Bomb not being thrown onto the zone instead of just trying to chase somebody else around on the backside. This is your chance to get in there and try to do some damage. As you see the Koalition trying to do that, losing their Stamper players' hands being thrown on the zone. That's not going to be enough, and WetUp in a good KO opportunity right here as the last player from the Koalition gets cleaned up, time being taken away. And that, no, they didn't. They didn't.
Sometimes the most entertaining moments are the simplest in this game. Another 2 come out as the timer ticks down. Not quite enough pain on the zone. WetUp 1 away now from the match and the tournament.
Well, and that's exactly why I'm like, I don't... Okay, look, this is what you feel comfortable with. Okay, so be it. You got to be taking into account who you're going up against. I mean, Vampire King is good. It's not often, especially in solo queue, you run across an E-leader who's actually, okay, now I have to respect this player. Because you do. And that's what the WetUp's opening was built around. You saw that inkjet come out in the first 10 seconds. That wasn't to get a splat. That was just to push the players back so that they could get their E-leader set up onto that little tower area and just literally control the entire map from there with the scoped variant of it. They lost track of the Dapples and that slowed things down. But once they got control and there was no flank possibility, it's like, okay, we can throw missiles to try to dislodge them. But if we don't move with the missiles, like, what are we going to do? And WetUp just had a better game plan for that one. The Koalition now has to pull off a reverse sweep. And if they do that, Lowing Grand Finals is going to be running during the Ludi Strint div reveal. And that's going to be awkward for everybody. So,
So, sometimes the most entertaining moments are the simplest in this game. Another 2 come out as the timer ticks down. Not quite enough pain on the zone. WetUp 1 away now from the match and the tournament. Okay. Hey, the Koalition here. I mean, 3 before WetUp wins 1. And it's going to start, because we wrote the script, Popgun. It's going to start on Rainmaker Humpback. I think they learned their lesson on zones.
There we go. This makes sense. You got the Dynamo. You know, I'm sure an E-leader player would be like, I'm satisfied anywhere, but this is a little bit of a better. This is a better counter pick. This makes more sense, in my opinion. And well, they have to make a counter pick that makes sense. They don't have a choice at this point.
What's your favorite candy, Popgun?
What? Brush. you could have run out of content that quickly to where we have to go with this.
Answer the question. It's important to what I'm about to say.
Would you count Oreos as candy?
Sure. So
yes,
if you're WetUp here, you've gotten a taste of something sweet. Like a nice Oreo here. Maybe a double stuff. Maybe even a mega stuff Oreo, not sponsored. It's about, for the Koalition, to be something that's going to break that up. Whether it's milk, whether it's sulfuric acid,
the golden Oreo.
Yeah, we got to break up the Oreo. You got to split apart its pieces. Take the top cookie and the bottom cookie and the gunk in the middle and get them to opposite sides of the field, around the stage, and run that Rainmaker up the middle. That's how you win Rainmaker Humpback.
So the Koalition, they got swept last time in Grand Finals. Now, I was potty training PJ, so I didn't watch any of that. Chad is saying this is the same exact maps they picked last time. Is that true?
Yeah, feels right.
Okay, well, let's see how it works out. There's a junior.
E-leader. There wasn't an E-leader. I like this.
So there's a lot of changes going on here. Obviously, the Dynamo we expected. Is that a double bomb junior from Poland?
Yeah, close to it, especially with the LDE. One push and they'll be double bomb, no problem. So it's
now,
come...
here we go. 2 players going down, and the E-leader is among them. Battle Junior starting to push up, but it's the Inkjet doing a good job. Look at this. That's not a sploosh. What are we doing? Going around the world. And WetUp in a good situation. WetUp could get lead right here.
Yeah, I mean, look, you gotta get some space in to make the Koalition, though, holding it down, at least off of the respawns. The Junior's gonna have to, I think, play a little bit more passively. They have the Octo Rush to do the silly rat moves, but where on the field are they?
Well, 2 players are back at their own spawn right now. Another one is getting all kinds of hell rained down on them, and it just leaves the Dynamo to get reslid.
Oh.
Except the brush says, no, the brush pushed the Dynamo out of the way and said, no, let me take this one, brother. You stop the Rainmaker in my honor, which they don't. They do get the checkpoint. There goes a hammer out of nowhere. Now, I will say this. They are doing a good job of beating up the E-leader, and that's going to make moving a whole heck of a lot easier. But unless they get set up in mid, well, I mean, look, it's just been in the first minute and 30 seconds. It's not... there's that.
But we're like a third of the way through this game, Popgun, and we haven't really seen a coordinated effort from either team. It looks like WetUp now, though, trying to make something happen. Some specials out, calling out Poland in that tricky situation, but no one, there's the Rainmaker Prep finally, so looks like we're going to actually get some movement finally.
This junior is trying to make some plays happen, and they're just not happening at this point. But again, similar to a flank, all you got to do is just make one of these like kind of solo moments land. But 2 players instantly going down, and WetUp is starting to make their championship winning push right here. They add to the lead, 35 remaining. You chase out the Stamper. Is the push over? I think it is. Yes, because you got the Inkjet going off in mid, who does able to get a splat and gets another one on top of that. What is this player doing? Who are you?
They've been popping off all day with this Brella. I mean, that's what happens when you're comfortable with your main weapon. So now Vamp King, the E-leader, grabbing that Rainmaker, pushing all the way up. They got to get into that little rail. They're not going to opt to. They're going to go the other way. And 14 points is nothing to laugh at here against their counter pick. The Koalition on the respawn. Maybe they're going to be able to drop it down finally and try to get some momentum moving quickly to the right side.
Another Inkjet yet again. By the way, I was laughing with my friends because the inkjet did get nerfed on that weapon specifically. Like, it takes 10 more points to get them out. Not that that like a huge impact or anything, but they're still getting spammed and used very successfully by the Brella. But here comes the Koalition. They got a hammer they can work with, and they're so close to getting the lead. Can they clear the way? 2 players going down from WetUp. Make that 3. Here comes the Kraken trying to lead the way. The Rainmaker gets popped. Can they get a few more points? No. It's the Brella player yet again who has another inkjet ready to go, trying to fire on the backside of it. It shuts it down. Oh my goodness, this Brella player.
But don't laugh, they're moving the other way. No one on the respawn. Sabus moving all the way up. No one painting the pedestal. 6 points. They run it quickly while the whole team's on the back foot, and they're going to extend their lead into easy hold territory. What a crazy 180 from the Koalition. Or against the Koalition.
And what happened? The Rainmaker got shut down here. As the Carbon Roller says, nah, you are in my bubbler. This is my fight that we're taking right here. A minute left to go, though. The Koalition, they had the pieces. They had the right opportunity. But look who has another inkjet ready to go. It's the Brella, who's just waiting for the right opportunity to pop it and build up yet another one. This is looking like WetUp is going to close out this tournament right here.
Not if Dynaman has anything to say about it. Megu now rotating in, rotating around. That's the hold on the right side, but going to help their team to pop that. Here comes the hammer. No utility behind them, though. Opting to throw it. Not going to find a pick with it. Now a 3v4 on the field. Specials ready for both teams. Sizz playing a little bit of aggression with that Carbon on the right side. Getting called out. Jumping out. Now the Rainmaker's grabbed by the Koalition. Pink or cyan paint up ahead in their favor. SK finding one. No one's watching the E-leader, though, so Dynaman holding that Rainmaker, forced to play a little bit slower. You have to imagine that they're going to explode soon here. Overtime begins, and no player advantage to their name. Specials going offline. Vampire King and E-leader flank trying to deal with the Rainmaker at the last second. Looks like they're the ones to find it, too. What a fun way to end that one, Popgun.
WetUp is your tournament champions in dominant fashion. One of the rare teams to go 18-0 on day one. They took several losses over the course of this day. Keep in mind, Daybreak had them 2-0 in winners finals. They were about to get swept down in the losers bracket. They reverse swept, and they did not lose another game since, closing this tournament out with a 6-game win streak. They beat Neowave 2-1. Lost another game along the way, but WetUp, Koalition, they had opportunities to win that third game. I really questioned the counter pick on the second one. They played great over the course of the entire weekend, but at the end of the day, WetUp was just the best team in this tournament, and they let it show there in that grand finals.
I mean, a fun last 3. You gotta think, if you're the Koalition, you've done this once before. What are we gonna write down next time? But I guess we'll find out who gets the chance to in about 30 minutes for the Ludi Div special. Hey, maybe they'll both be banned, Popgun.
You never know. You never know. I mean, I know.
You know.
I know. I know, and everybody else is going to know in about 27 other minutes. But we'll wrap this up real quick. And literally wrap this up, Brush, because I'm handing out the badges as we speak and finalizing this tournament. So Low Ink is now officially done. Finalize and assign badges to WetUp, the team that finished in first place, coincidentally. Beta bracket won by Crushing 20s. And Gamma bracket won by C Cadence. Oh, wait, no. Shishimi Shenanigans.
How do you spell that?
You're asking me how to spell shenanigans? S-E-H...
Nope, already wrong.
S-H-E-N-A-N-I Gans. That's how that is spelled out.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping we'd get to commentate a little bit longer. Kind of hoping the Koalition would drag that out another game or two for bracket reset. But
I guess everyone at home will have to just come back next month for Low Ink March. Right? That's how months work?
Yes.
2026? Great.
By the way, every single Low Ink date for the entire year 2026 from now through December is already posted. Registration doesn't open until the 1st of each month, but every single LOINK is already posted with the dates. You can check that out in the IPL Discord server if you want to plan ahead to play in one of these events in the future. For those of you who care about what your Ludi Div is going to be, the reveal stream on the official Ludi Twitch channel is set to go live in 25 minutes from now. And, well, I would say I hope you enjoy it, but I mean, it doesn't matter if you enjoy it or not. It's the reality of what it is. And I hope you actually enjoy playing in that tournament over this upcoming month. Brush, any other closing thoughts you have?
Yeah, what div are you hoping for, Popgun?
A special shout out to Joe Ryan, who is the streamer for today's event. This entire weekend, our usual streamer is at a... Where is...
He's at a convention, I think a furry convention in the EU. And who streamed last month? I already forget. Sam was on a skiing trip, I believe.
Oh,
I'm jealous. Except I don't know how to ski.
And I missed LOINK last month to potty train my kid. So that's I need a better way. I need a more exciting way to miss these tournaments. From all of us here at IPL, the head TOs for this event, Brush, Hoenn Hero, and myself, the lovely and talented person running the stream this entire weekend, Joe Ryan. We thank you for both watching, playing, and participating in this month's edition of LOINK. Once again, congratulations to WetUp, who has won this edition of LOINK, much to the relief of the Ludi Seating Council, Grumble Grumble. We will see you. We'll see you again next month. GG's.